Good morning, Unleashed Lund loyalists. Thanks for tuning in live each weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. Remember, please like and subscribe and listen where you get your podcasts. Be on the lookout for Lund loyalists perks by joining the club. And if you really want your comments read during the show, you can use supers and stickers. Now, as close to on time as he gets, here's Johnny.
There it is. That is the big news today. Reunion. Could there be a reunion between Kevin Durant and Steph Curry? The Warriors are trying. I can tell you that. Talked to a few people last night. They are trying. Whether they can get it done, that's a whole nother story. Let me adjust everything. Thank you for joining us on a. Oh, my voice is so rough today. On Wednesday, February 5th, so that is one day before the NBA trade deadline. Man, there's a ton to get to. Let me fix this screen up. Thank you for making time for this morning. It is episode 52. I'm going to be mum on the meeting because I got in trouble yesterday. The KD return we will discuss. I'm going down the chalkboard if you're new to the right side. Try to stick to it. The trade machine, we'll do a trade machine. Who would it take to get Kevin Durant? Who would it take to get LeBron James? Where would Golden State be in the Western Conference if they made said move? There's already been one big move in the NBA today. That is Kyle Kuzma to the Bucks. Two things on this real quick, and then we'll move to the rest, and then we'll welcome everybody and do roll call this morning. John Lund Unleashed. Thanks for joining us on YouTube, Instagram, X. On those places, we are at John Lund Radio on X and at John Lund Radio on Instagram. Welcome to the people watching on those platforms. Make sure you're checking that out. And, it's John Lund Unleashed. It's at John Lund Radio. To cut through all that clutter, just go to johnlundunleashed.com. And we have everything on the website there. So whether it's social media links that you want to check out and follow us on, whether it's archived shows. In fact, the live show is on right now at johnlundunleashed.com as well. So we can do it there. And then archived shows, podcasts, and blogs, which I'll write one on KD and everything around the NBA pre-trade deadline. It's really taken the headlines to a certain extent away from the Super Bowl, although Young Sun sent me some weird videos from New Orleans, which I enjoyed, and we'll play for you. And then he's going to join us a little bit later on in the show. Also, we're juggling Lorenzo Neal because I've told you the great story with Lowe in New Orleans. Went on Saturday. We were at the convention center. No one else was there. I was hungover. He had laryngitis, and here comes Alyssa Milano. So it's a great story. So I've told it many times, but I want to hear it from. I want it to be told from his perspective because he all did the low on love, and that's what stole the show and saved both of our butts that day. So Kuzma goes from the Wiz to the Bucks, and he went from 8-41 to a contender, but somebody had to go the other way, and that was Chris Middleton, who won a championship with Giannis. And so he goes from a contender to 8-41. That's probably not fun. New Orleans, we'll tell some New Orleans stories today. Super Bowl 59 rooting interests. And I don't want, this isn't to be controversial and everything else, but people are pushing me towards Kansas City. Not you people, but this whole ref thing. And I'll play from opening night. And Travis Kelce handled it well. But at some point, it's kind of like the Warriors. It's, if you were constantly getting disrespected, if your dynasty, which is what the Chiefs have, keeps getting marred by the fact that it's refs, and it's just not that way. And I wrote that piece about a week ago on it with irrefutable evidence. I tell you that it's not the refs. And if we want to make it localize the story to the Bay Area, it's like if somebody kept trying to disrespect the Warriors, which at the time they did. You built a super team. It's not fair. You have KD. And it was like, everybody has a super team. It goes back to all the 60s, and the Celtics were super teams, and the Lakers were super teams. Super teams have been around forever. And then all of a sudden, because it's this modernized term, because LeBron went to the Heat, not one, not two, and everybody's like, they're building a super team. I got news for you. When teams win championships, they're super teams. The Chiefs are a super team. Mahomes is going to the Hall. Kelce's going to the Hall. Chris Jones is going to the Hall. Andy Reid's going to the Hall. That's a super team. I hate to break it to you. That's a super team. Every team that's really, 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 really good for a long time, super team. And it's been going on in sports forever. It's not a new thing. It might have been termed new. This is new. No, it's not. Every team that wins a championship, at least for an extended period of time and stays in that window, pretty super. Super Bowl champions, super. So the KC ref thing we'll get into, ruining the NFL Hall of Fame. I don't want to disrespect Eli, but I want to explain why Eli does all the things he does, because fringe Hall of Famers, and I don't think he deserves to get in, have to do those kind of things. And people who are just in the Hall of Fame don't, and everybody's checking the numbers, and you beat the Patriots twice, and come on. And speaking of Atlanta, New England, 28-3 this day, 8 years ago now, I think it's been. And the only reason I put that up on the board is because Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of the Falcons, obviously, on that day and during that season. And then the next year, he was hired by the 49ers, and Tolbert and I had the first interview. He's all, in fact, I got to pull that picture up with the black hair, and he's aging more than the president now. But back in that day, off the air, there were some interesting things that were said. And while I'm not going to maybe reveal some of the things, I'll reveal a couple of the things that were really interesting, because half the time when we were off the air, so we had him for probably 15 or 20 minutes, but then off the air, both before and after the interview, we talked about that Super Bowl and what they could have done differently and what he could have done differently. And that's what really started this whole thing about Kyle can't close games or win games or come back or any of those kind of things. So that's an interesting story to tell as well. So, man, what a ton of things to do today and talk about today. Tons of video, fancy pictures. Do not move. Do your work with us, whether it's in your cubicle, at home. We have so much great stuff for you today. But let's do some roll call. If you're new around here, all you got to do is go on the chat line. And also, we have super stickers. You can do things like that if you absolutely want what you have read. But we have a great community here. If you're new, it's a lot of fun, a lot of amazing people that have a lot of fun in the chat, and we love it. So if you are up to those standards, we are glad you are here. Hurley Bird is here this morning, 59. Fitty, he's 84, actually. He is here today. Tacky, it's always great to have you aboard. Skills report, I owe you one. I did see did you tweet me something? You had a super yesterday with your unique number. I think was it like $3.96. So I owe you time. I owe you time, and I owe you a couple. So if you have a weird dream, like you said, you have a weird dream, and I don't have that one because everything gets reset after the show. So I owe you a weird dream. So if you want to hit me up, make sure that you do that, because I owe you. I remember that time John Lund's son was on the show for the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Good times. I am going to show you a video that he sent me, which was wild. He was on Bourbon Street, and I told him more. We need more of that. Less of the, sitting on Radio Row, more of the New Orleans feel. So he sent me some good stuff, and he is going to be on the show today. So thank you, Vernon. That's very nice of you to say. Little Lund was awesome, chip off the old block. I do have something funny for when he comes on the show today, which I'll show you in a minute, and then we'll get into New Orleans stuff a little bit later. Good to see you, Jeff. You are always one of the best ones. Thank you so much, Todd. Todd is great as well. He is a great member of the community, as is everybody who's been hanging around. Jesus is Jazz fan, Gizmo. Did I say Joy? Franco, I don't know if I've acknowledged you ever before, but welcome. Enrique is here today. Mike is here. Hi, Mike. What else we got? We got a ton of people in the room today. It is tremendous to see everybody. And I'm telling you, today's show, I think every day, but today's show, hi, Daniel. Good to see you, my friend. Peak Alyssa Milano. I'm telling you, I'm not going to tell the story again until we get low on, because I probably told it, I don't know, no less than 5 times. Oh, hold on a minute. He just gave me a laugh. I told him, I go, when are you coming on? I need you today. And he gave me a laugh emoji back. I don't know. Is that good or bad? I think he's probably in New Orleans. I haven't spoken to him today, but he played for the Saints, obviously, for a long time. And I bet Lowe is down there and very busy. But he's going to make time, because he just went, oh, my God, seriously? And he just started laughing. So we'll get him. We'll get him on at some point, because he tells – see, I tell it from my angle of an extremely hungover guy going, dude, you have laryngitis? How are we going to make it through this show? With nobody on Radio Row. And then she came like an angel walking, and we were just like – I said, Lowe, we were in segment. I said, Lowe, I need a minute. Like, I know you have laryngitis, but try to get through like 60 seconds, because I got to go get her. Because she was like walking the other way, and I'm like a dart to go get her. And we kept her on for like 2 hours. But anyway, this is what happens in the room. I have no idea, because sometimes I look away for a minute, and then people start talking in the chat about something. I have no idea about Betty White. I have no idea why we're talking about Betty White, but we are. Anyway, Pat H, it is great to see you this morning. Walter, hello, Walter. I've already hit up Walter for guests today. Smiley Dan is here. Anthony, it's great to see you again, my friend. Anyway, I will acknowledge everybody. Pine Needle is one of my favorites. So again, everybody, thank you so much. It is really, really cool. So, let me do this. Let me get this out of the way. Not out of the way, but let me get this because I'll forget. Skills Report, who gave me a super yesterday, and I did not acknowledge it, and I can't do that. You pay something, and I certainly don't want to ignore you. So it says, here was a chat from yesterday. I once passed out at my desk, dreamed Richard Belzer. Wow, that's a pull. I didn't think we were going to talk about Richard Belzer today. Richard Belzer played sad piano music as I flushed new clothes down the toilet sharing for no reason. Dude, did you smoke? And then you said that? Look, I'm not saying it's bad to smoke. I'm just saying, like, wow. That might be your wildest ever. I want to keep this up for a second because this is going to send the chat into a frenzy. And no matter what I say, that's just what they're going to talk about. Once passed out of my desk, dreamed Richard Belzer played sad piano music as I flushed new clothes down the toilet. Wild. Either you're on some prescription stuff or you're smoking something or whatever it was, man. But thank you, my friend. I owe you, and I still owe you because missing it is unacceptable. Missing those is unacceptable. So thank you very much. I think that might be your craziest one. And then one more, and then we'll get on to the chalkboard. Pine Noodle says, how cool was it to have your son on your own show reporting from the Super Bowl in a great role? You must be proud. And again, I don't want to overdo this because it's, like I said, when people overshare their kids on Facebook or some other way, I'm always like, enough. But I can't tell you that because from the moment he kind of showed some interest in doing this, and that's why he's at Arizona State at the Cronkite Broadcast School, and he's worked like all of us have, and there's no guarantees, and I've told him that just because you work hard. But he said, look, we're Lunds. We're never going to be the smartest, the prettiest, the this, the that, whatever. I said, but what you can do, and I think this is great advice for anybody's kids, and I think you've already given this, so I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I said, outwork everybody. I said, that's what you can control. I said, you can control your attitude. You can control how hard you work. And I said, we're Lunds, so we have to outwork everybody. We're not the smartest. We're certainly not the prettiest. Look at me. All those other kind of things. But I said, you can outwork everybody. And that's what he does. And so for all his hard work that he's done, and I know he's only 21. It's not like he's lived this, this grizzled life or something, but he's busted his butt. And so last year he was doing women's hoops. This year he did men's hoops, and he's going to the Big 12 championship in Kansas City in early March because he earned it and they recognized his writing. And he just got on the baseball beat at ASU, and baseball's his passion. And I think you all know that he's going to the Cape Cod League, which is a huge league, first wood bat league, and a ton of guys. I mean, he's going to be writing for Buster Posey's old team. I mean, tons of people have gone to this thing and covered it. So he's earned that. And then they recently asked him about a week ago to go down to the Super Bowl radio row and do that. And I was on their ASU show last year. And these guys are a lot of really smart, way ahead of me kind of guys that just really know what they're doing. And it's a great program down there. And so, yeah, he's hit a hot streak for about 2 or 3 weeks here where it just went boom, 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 boom. And then it's such a great parenting moment. And I don't want to make it about my son. I want to make it about your kids too, where you just say, see, it worked. Like what I told you actually works. And a lot of times you tell your kids things and they don't come to fruition, and they look at you like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And so I just said, outwork everybody. And he has. And then all of a sudden, here come these opportunities. Boom, 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 boom. And so it gives you an opportunity to say, see, what I told you was right. And so it's not it's a proud moment for me, but it's also, man, when your kids have success, it's 1,000 times better than when you have success, right? I mean, I just think that's it. So anyway, I don't want to overload you with that kind of stuff because we got a ton to get to, but thank you for acknowledging that fact. Thank you for a lot of people who have kids and understand that those are really cool. And hopefully when I was talking to them, and I'll agree with a lot of people because people were like, hey, let the kid talk, bro. I was talking over him because it's, I'm just blah, 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 blah. So you're 100% right if you came back with me on that. But in terms of just the moment, it's really cool when your kid works hard, you tell them to work hard, and then something happens. That's it. That's all. My kids suck. Where is that? Tacky just said, my kids suck. Believe me, my kid has sucked before, man. I'm not saying he's an angel because he sure as hell ain't. Because you're just sitting there going, what is this ever going to change? I mean, he does have the porn mustache, so he's certainly not perfect, to tell you that. I mean, it's how many times have I looked at that thing and I go, you have dirt on your lip, man. Will you please watch it? Will you wipe it off, please? Hey, Jake, good morning. Will you, wipe it off, please. Daryl, good to see you. All right, let's get to it. First and foremost, it is episode 52. It is great to have you. As I said, please subscribe, like, tell all your friends and enemies. John Lund Unleashed. It was John Lund Unleashed pod. I took the pod away because I finally could. I told you that yesterday. because we had a John Lund Unleashed and then blah, blah, blah. Don't want to go through that. But anyway, it's John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. We're on X and Instagram as well. Thank you so much. I love feedback. The show is not perfect. I don't expect it to be if I say something stupid or wrong. I love it when you say, hey, have you thought of this? So again, if you're new around here, that's how we kind of roll. We can talk about anything. Been in the business about 27 years. I've covered about 15 radio rows, probably like 14 of the last 16. So I'm pissed that I'm not there. But you know what? I'm living vicariously through my son. And it's a great time actually to be home and to be doing this because there's a ton of stuff going on. So anyway, all right. Mom on the meeting yesterday, I got in trouble because somebody was watching and said, bro, like it's not ready yet. You know, it's in the oven and it's cooking and it's baking and it's crisping and you know it's all sorts of stuff. And I know we're all hungry and starving and you're looking at it and you want is it done? Is it done? Is it done? And it's not. So I can't say anything, but it's exciting. That's all I can say. All right. I wish I could give you more, and it's not some kind of tease that I'm trying to keep you around every day. It's just you know I got slapped on the hand with the ruler, so I gotta pull back on it. But it's happening. And I'll let you know when I can. All right, let's move on from that, as cryptic as that was. Let's go to the KD return, because probably that's why you tuned in today. After all, that's what we started the show with. The cover of the show is that. We always give you a cover of the show so that you know what direction we're going in. And this is kind of a variety show. So a lot of shows, what they'll do is they'll just stay with the KD reunion. What I'll do is I'll cut that out later and do a story of the day. And then at johnlundunleashed.com, I'll write a blog around the video of Kevin Durant. So that's what I'll do. By the way, if you click right there on the John Lund Unleashed, it should take you right to johnlundunleashed.com. I fancied that up, so hopefully that works. But anyway, there it is. Reunion. Will Steph Curry and Kevin Durant get back together? Now, as I do the show, I need your help in a lot of different ways. You know that. But one of the ways I need it around trade deadline right now is that this stuff is going bananas. It's going bonkers. I have a video of myself up. I certainly don't need that. If anything is breaking on Twitter/X, there's me again. What the hell, bro? If anything is breaking on Twitter/X, I will do my best, as I've got my iPad right next to me, another computer here. So I'm trying, but you know how I am. So if something breaks, if a Durant thing breaks or any kind of news, big news, you've helped me out in the past. In fact, when was it? A couple of days ago. No, it was the Myles Garrett stuff. So we're doing what we're doing on this show, talking about 25 different things, going in 25 different directions. And somebody alerted me to the fact that Myles Garrett had asked for a trade from Cleveland, and the 49ers certainly would be a team that would be interested in Myles Garrett. And I did, if you go to johnlundunleashed.com, I did a blog/video, both on Myles Garrett, and I broke down the teams that would be interested and where the 49ers would sit on that list. So you can go to johnlundunleashed.com to check that out. But that was all brought on by somebody going, hey, man, Myles Garrett just asked for a trade. Do you think the 49ers would be interested? And then we went on a diatribe during the show of that. And so we can go in any different direction. That's why it's awesome this time of day, which is about, I don't know, we're coming up on about 8:30 Pacific time this morning, 11:30 on the East Coast, 10:30 in New Orleans, is that a lot of things break at this point of the day. So it's really cool being on at this particular point. But that is the biggest story among many that we're going to cover today. Will there be a reunion with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry? Now, while I would just off the top of my head bet against it, remember when KD came the first time, it was right around July 4th. It might have been July 4th itself. The only reason I remember is we had rented an Airbnb up in Tahoe, and I was off. I'm off. I'm not thinking about Kevin Durant. All of a sudden, we get this thing. Kevin Durant is coming to the Warriors, and if you remember, there was that loophole. And this is why I'm going to comp the Chiefs to the Warriors at that point, because everybody around the NBA, maybe you don't remember, but everybody around the NBA was like, the Warriors are cheating. There was a loophole. It was like, well, they took advantage of it. They're a really good team, and they're a smart front office. So they took advantage of it. Sorry. And then the next few years, while Kevin Durant was on the Warriors, and there was all these people crying and bitching and moaning about the Warriors had an unfair advantage. Kind of like the refs in Kansas City, which I think is completely unfair and makes me have to defend the Chiefs once again, which is something I don't want to do, but I'm probably going to have to at some point. So let's stay on track and keep the ADD in the back seat here. Here is windy. Everyone knows it's windy. You did not need that. Here's Brian Windhorst this morning, the latest with a KD Steph reunion.
Should we trade Kevin Durant? And they have begun those discussions across the league. Now I'd like to shift you to the Bay. 25-24, veteran team, underachieving. difficult time trading for a star. They've been looking for a year for a star, looking for LeBron, for Paul George, for Markin, and all these things. Very aggressive owner who can't stand this. Here, I am describing to you how this began. And so now we have the Warriors and Suns discussing the possibility of bringing Kevin Durant back, okay? I am not going to sit here and even begin to project or guess as to how this may go down. Is it possible that Kevin Durant could be traded to the Warriors? Yes. Will it happen? I'm not afraid to say I don't know. This is potentially a 3, 4, 5 team transaction. It could involve like a dozen other players because that's the nature of the way NBA trades. It could involve Jimmy Butler because it is possible, guys, that the Suns can acquire Jimmy Butler, but not for Brad Beal, but for Kevin Durant. And so that after a month of trying to pair them together, they could end up in an elaborate way being traded for each other. But I got to tell you, as you can hear as I describe this, it sounds complicated. It is. So I do not want to imply that anything's going to happen. And I have no idea how you go back on this if it doesn't work, because now the world does know that the Warriors are trying to get KD back and repair him with Steph Curry. Only guarantee. And Steph Curry will be on the Warriors. After that.
Oh, then it stopped. After that, he's basically saying that the only two things that are going to happen, and look, I don't even buy that, because if Luke can be traded, anybody can be traded. And I think that's the kind of the theme of this 2025 trade deadline in the NBA is, well, if Luka goes, anybody can go. I don't think the Warriors would trade Steph Curry. I've said this numerous times, and you're probably sick of hearing it, but if they're going to trade Steph Curry, it's going to be in the offseason, because this is a whole thing. He's a brand in and of himself, the biggest brand maybe in all of the NBA, maybe outside of LeBron. But you can't trade that in midseason. I don't think you can. Now, maybe the Lakers could, because LeBron is not a true Laker in the truest sense of the word. He's not a Kobe. He's not a Magic. He's not on that level. And even though people like him, it's like, well, we just got another superstar. So we've got a new toy to play with. So if they trade LeBron, as great as he's playing right now, and he is, in LA, they could do it because it's star-driven. We all know that about LA, and they couldn't trade LeBron without Luka. So they couldn't. Anthony Davis isn't on that level of star power. So now that they have Luka, they could trade LeBron James if they said, well, geez, this would be a better setup around Luka, because Luka's the future. Luka's not exactly the now, but if they traded LeBron, people in LA wouldn't freak out, because it's not like trading Kobe Bryant. It's not like trading Magic Johnson. Those guys were true and true Lakers, lifelong Lakers. And LeBron won them a 2020 bubble championship. And just like me and you, Lakers fans are like, I mean, like, they're a little bit different. They're like, well, we got it. And they have T-shirts and hats to prove it, but they know that that's not a true championship. So it's not like they're falling all over LeBron in LA. I know it because I have lots of friends down there, and like, he's not on that level. So if they did trade him, especially if they have Luka. So first of all, LeBron could be on the table. I don't think Steph is on the table during this deadline, but what you want to know is Durant. Now, what's interesting to me about the Durant issue is Matt Ishbia is the owner of the Suns. He played at Michigan State. He's a billionaire. He is not, as we talked about yesterday, at least yet, a Joe Lacob type where he's just trying to run everything. But I think he is being realistic, which is something the Warriors aren't always, which is he looks at his team and says, trading for Bradley Beal was one of the worst things the Suns could ever do. Not only because he's a regressing player, but also because he has a full no trade. So they go to Bradley Beal and say, we go to this team, no. We go to this team, no. We go to this team, no. He and LeBron are the only two players in the NBA who have full no trades. Now, I could see it in LeBron's case, but Bradley Beal and the Suns didn't do this. The Wiz did. The Washington Wizards did this. So he's a really tough thing to trade. So as they've tried to make themselves better, and Jimmy Butler is basically stomping his feet like a child. I only want to go to Phoenix. Like a child. He doesn't want to go there if Durant's gone, but they can't trade Beal. Miami's, again, Pat Riley, they're not stupid. They see what Beal is. They see that that's a terrible contract, and they're not going to take Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler, no matter what Jimmy Butler does. They could just set Jimmy Butler out for the rest of the year and not talk about him, and that's better than trading for Bradley Beal. Getting nothing and allowing his contract to run out is better than getting a poison pill contract that Bradley Beal has. So that's a major problem for Phoenix. So what does that have to do with the Warriors, Lund? Please help me. So what that has to do with the Warriors is Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, the new owner of the Suns, only had the team about a year and was really excited about putting, their big three together, but he sees that they don't have any depth. They're not a good team. They're kind of, again, stuck where the Warriors are stuck. But the difference with Ishbia is he doesn't have a history with these players like Joe Lacob and the Warriors have with Steph and with Draymond And so they're sitting there going, well, we've got to try to squeeze some more out of this thing. And I doubt Durant's coming. I could be 100% wrong. Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, would have to be blown away by a deal. And Joe Lacob has shown no inclination to finally say, okay, this 2 timeline thing or whatever, it is gone. Let's just trade everybody for Durant. Now, Durant may be that guy, as I talked about yesterday. He put a gold shovel in the ground for Chase Center, for God's sake. So he might be the unique player where Joe Lacob just says to hell with it. You want Kuminga, fine. You want Wiggins, fine. You want Podziemski, fine. Like, I could see him just because it's Durant and both Draymond Green and Steph Curry go to him and go, bro, like, this is the guy. Like, if we have a little bit left in the tank, if we have one more quick run, like we thought we were dead, we've all talked about it, right? Jimmy Butler says no. And I said, the players will tell you when the run is over. The media won't tell you. Screaming the Warriors are over. It's not about you and what you say, or me, or Charles, or Shaq, or anybody. It's not about what anybody in the media says. The Warriors are done. Take the horse out to the back. That's not, we don't say it. The players say it. And Jimmy Butler said it by saying, look, I'm the poisonous of the poison pills in the league, and I say no to the Warriors because I see the direction they're going. But Kevin Durant, everybody's ears perk up all of a sudden. Everybody's antennas. Durant? Now, that's a different deal. So if the Warriors are going to make a deal for Durant or LeBron, then they could be something, and they could make a run in the West, because we've talked about it a lot. Look, the West is really good. But if you get in the playoffs, and I know Steph and Draymond continue to talk about this, well, we like our chances against any of these teams. They don't. But the thing that the Western Conference has, the East is scarier in this way, because a team like Boston's won a championship. They've got pelts on the wall. A team like Milwaukee has pelts on the wall, and they just traded for Kyle Kuzma. They think he's going to make them better. What the West has is potential really good teams. So OKC is at the top. They haven't won anything. Memphis is near the top. They haven't won anything. Houston's near the top. They haven't won anything. The only team that could say that we've been through the rigors and done it is Denver. Denver's done it. That's it. Phoenix has pieces that have done it. The Lakers have pieces that have been there and done it, like LeBron and Luka. But it's, there's not the same thing with Phoenix. Durant's done it. So they've got that kind of a thing. Booker has not done it. He's their second best player. Beal was stuck in Washington for years. He hasn't done it. So you've either got young teams or old teams in the Western Conference. And so if you get Durant, who wants to play a team? Now, they'd have very little depth, because to get Kevin Durant, you got to give up a lot. Like Matt Ishbia, like I said, is an aggressive owner in Phoenix. And the only way he's moving Kevin Durant is if he has a future, because right now he doesn't. He knows that. He's stuck with Bradley Beal. He'd like to use then Booker as his building piece, which I told you the other day, and I wrote on a blog, johnlundunleashed.com, that Booker is more Robin than Batman. So you've got to try to find somebody else. But if you're Ishbia and you've decided this just is not going to work, and if Kevin Durant, famously as Kevin Durant is wont to do, says, I want out, when's he ever done that? He wanted out of Golden State. He wanted out of OKC. He wanted out of Brooklyn. At some point, Kevin Durant's going to want out of Phoenix too. That's just his history. I don't know Kevin Durant. I don't talk to Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant throughout his career is like, yeah, I'm pretty much done here. I'm looking around me and everything's falling apart. I've got to get a parachute and jump out of this mess. So it's not like Kevin Durant wouldn't do that. He's done it before. He'll do it again. So I could see Durant going to then the owner of the Suns and saying, you know what? I do want to go back to Golden State. I do want to go back to the Warriors. But then the aggressive owner of the Suns is saying, okay, I just bought the team from a guy who was horrible. So I look a lot better, but this is my, this is a major, major move. Now was the owner when they traded for Kevin Durant, but I'm sure that he's going to look at this. And I tell you this all the time. You can look at trades two ways, and you can do whatever the heck you want. I'm certainly not telling you what to do, but this is the way to look at trades that might actually work. Okay. Your team wants Kevin Durant. There's no doubt about it, but think of it from the other team's perspective, and that will tell you if a trade will work. Because a lot of fans, and I'm not calling out fans, I'm the same way. And I say to myself, let's see, I'll give you Durant, or I'll take Durant, and you get Wiggins, and you get Podziemski, and you get GP2, and you get Looney, and it's like the GM's getting fired. The GM's getting fired. And in Phoenix with their owner, it's not that he wouldn't want first round picks. He probably would. But given that he's a new owner, he does not want to go completely in the tank. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying, look at the other team. Okay, we know where the Warriors are. They're desperate. And, oh, God, they get Kevin Durant. Woohoo! And you don't think about what the other team does. And you don't have to because you're not a fan and you really don't care. But in order to make a trade work, you do have to think about it for a second. You don't have to because you can do whatever you want. But to really realistically look at something and say, how would this actually work? Yeah, there's a financial side. In the NBA, given where Phoenix and Golden State are, I'm sorry to have to be the adult in the room and say finances and money, and that's no fun. But you have to be within 125% and $100,000 to make it work. So financially, to throw that all out, you got to match contracts, basically. So Kevin Durant's making, his $50 million. So how do you do that? Well, as we always talk about, Wiggins has got to start the deal because he's at about $28 million, something like that. And then if I'm the Suns, okay, you want Durant, I get it. But for that, it's Wiggins because salaries match, and that's where it has to start, from a base of salaries. But then I got to have Kuminga. I mean, this isn't a deal where Joe says, I'm not giving up Kuminga, I'm not giving up the future. Well, to get Kevin Durant, you most certainly have to. This is not going to be a deal that you're not going to be able to include Kuminga. No way. Because if I'm the owner of the Suns and I'm, again, egotistical and I just got the team, I got to show my fan base that I've got an idea here, that I've got a future, that I can stand up in front of the cameras and say, yeah, it was too bad that we had to trade Kevin Durant. It just wasn't working. Thanks, Bradley Beal's contract. But it wasn't working. We weren't going anywhere. And I feel like we needed to change the future. Well, in order to do that, Andrew Wiggins is not going to do that because everybody knows what he is. He's having a great season. But you can't sell Andrew Wiggins as the face of your franchise to your fan base. Now, you know what fan bases really like? They like wild cards. They like, what's behind door number 2 money? They like to know, like, oh, but we got this guy, and this could be the future. We get excited about the future and the potential. We love that stuff. So then Kuminga comes in. And then you got, well, I need more. Moses Moody would probably be involved. In fact, if I was Moses Moody's agent, I'd be like, please trade my guy. Every time he hits the court, he's really good. So can you just trade my guy? So Moody would probably be part of it. Kuminga would be part of it, because then the Suns can say, we got a lottery pick in Kuminga, a lottery pick in Moses Moody. We got X amount of ones. We got Andrew Wiggins, who is nice. And you probably got to throw in Looney and things. And then we got a veteran who's won championships. Like, you can sell that to your fan base. You see where I'm going here? I got picks. I got 2 lottery picks. I got Kevon Looney, he's won championships. And I got Andrew Wiggins, the former first overall pick of the draft. Now you can sell that to your fan base. And you can say, yeah, we gave up Durant, but a first overall pick, a 7th overall pick, a 14th overall pick, more first round picks, and a guy in Kevon Looney who can bring it all together and has won championships. Yeah, that's a good haul. And it is a good haul. And what Joe Lacob is finally admitting to is there is no 2 timelines, and there is no this and there is no that. We are 100% in on old guys. And that's okay. Because as I've told you a million times, what goes up must come down. So you throw it up, there's gravity. And at some point, the gravity of getting old, like we've all seen in the mirror when we get old, is that Durant and Draymond and Steph are together again, and they make one last run. And Joe Lacob can say to his fan base at the end, you know what? I did everything I could. We won championships. Then at the end of the run of the championships, I bring back Kevin Durant, and I've got Steph, and I've got Draymond, and maybe in the buyout market, I get a couple of guys who want to be on the old guy team and make one last run, right? In the movie, oh, it's not over. And then they ride off into the sunset together, and maybe they get a championship. It's unlikely. But even if they don't, you can't go to Joe Lacob and go, why'd you do that? Why'd you go get Kevin Durant? What do you mean, why'd I go get Kevin Durant? Why'd you trade Kuminga? Why'd you trade Moody? Why'd you trade those ones? Now you're going to be in the lottery forever. Well, at least I'm not in sports purgatory, which is the middle. Sports purgatory is the middle. The worst is not purgatory in professional sports. The worst is middle. The worst is I'm not bad enough to get the great pick. I'm not good enough to win a championship. Your fan base knows it, and that's what your fan base knows now. You're sitting in 11th place. We know what you are. For the last 3 years now, you've been a team. You've been a playing team. You're not that team anymore. You're the playing team Warriors. You're not the championship now. You bring KD back. Whoa. And so what that does is it gives you 1, maybe 2 final years of hope. You turn turnstiles at Chase Center. Everyone's excited and buzzing. Everyone's talking about you. You're relevant again. Next year, you're on more games against the Lakers on national TV. That's what Joe and ego owners like. They like to be relevant. They like to be talked about. They like to be in the championship window. Now, maybe they're the Suns. Maybe they're right where the Suns are right now, which is Durant and Curry are too old, and Draymond Green, and they don't have any depth. Because if I'm Phoenix, look, I know you're desperate. Now we're desperate too, but I know you're desperate because I haven't won any championships. Now I need equity with my fan base. There's no question. And I haven't earned it in Phoenix, but I know this, you're desperate to get Steph one more run. And so I'm going to use that leverage against you. And I'm going to get most of those young players. I don't, maybe I don't get Podziemski. Maybe I don't get Moody, but I'm getting most of them. And I'm getting Kuminga, and I'm getting Wiggins, and I'm getting first-round picks. And then maybe it's Moody and then probably a veteran, whether it be GP2 or Looney to be thrown in there. I'd rather have Looney because I can sell that to my fan base as here's a guy who's an integral piece to winning championships. He's done it, and that's a veteran presence we need on this young team. And now Phoenix can sell that. And now they can get better. And that, so for both sides, this is why I'm going through this whole diatribe. For both sides, it works. Phoenix can sell that to their fan base. The Warriors can say, we made one last run. And when they run this thing into the ground, which I'm fine with, and when you run this thing into the ground, you can't complain as a Warrior fan. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But you can't really complain. You can't really say Joe didn't go for it. And so when they're in the lottery for 6 or 7 straight years like the old Warriors teams were, at least you can say, hey, not only did we win those championships, but Joe went for it again at the end. Respect. We're terrible now, but respect. He brought Durant back. So for these next 2 years, that's worth it. And you and I talk about this all the time. It's about championships. It's not about being in contention for 10 years and turning turnstiles. At least it's not for me. I mean, that's fun, playoff run. But right now, what they are is playing and out. Purgatory, middle. Actually, not purgatory, middle. Purgatory kind of bottom, but not bad enough. I keep using the term middle. They're not middle. Like a 6th or a 5th, 6th, 7th seed's a middle. They're like 10, 11. They're just fighting for the playoffs. And San Antonio just got De'Aaron Fox right behind you. So you might not even be a playoff team. I keep saying middle. They're not really middle. They're kind of middling, like at the bottom. Not Utah bottom. Not New Orleans bottom, but still they're more bottom than top. Oh, that was weird. But they're not middle. I just fell into that one. Who else do I have? I just showed you Windy. Who else do we have on? Oh, that's okay. The rest of the video stuff I have is related to other things. So let me see if I've got some things that can make you. Oh yeah, here we go. I got a couple of more things on this, and I want to get your thoughts. And I'll go out to the lines here real quick. So this is a guy that I know is a friend of mine, and he's in Phoenix. It does an afternoon drive show in Phoenix. And I saw this tweet from him yesterday, John Gamadoro. He says, the KD to Golden State has taken on a life of its own in the last 24 hours. I don't know for sure, so not reporting. This is kind of what Windhorst just said. I did talk to several teams today that heard the same thing. One told me, quote, he will most likely end up in Golden State with Butler to Phoenix, unquote. We'll keep digging. And again, this guy, John Gamadoro, 98.7 in Phoenix and a friend of mine in the business, he's broken a lot of stuff when it comes to the Suns. So he knows the Suns. The only part that I struggle with at the bottom is part of that quote. He will most likely end up in Golden State with Butler to Phoenix. We'll keep digging. Jimmy Butler doesn't want to go to Phoenix if Kevin Durant's not there. He wants to team up with Kevin Durant to try to win. Now, having said that, if the Warriors make the trade they make, and like I said, and they give up Wiggins, which they have to because to make the salaries match, but then you kind of play a puzzle game from there. But Phoenix has to get Kuminga in that move, and they probably are going to get Moody in that move, and they're probably going to get Ones in that move. And all of a sudden, if you do that, and then they probably turn around to Miami, and there's not a ton of leverage that Miami has, but the problem with it is you have to, if you're going to get Jimmy Butler, you have to match that $50 million contract. So how do they do that? So do they then flip Wiggins and his big contract and try to keep most of the assets? So they do downgrade going from Durant to Butler, but what if they then turn around to Miami and say, this is getting complicated in a 3-way. So then you turn around to Miami and you say, all right, we want Jimmy Butler. Now, again, Jimmy Butler just rejected the Warriors. So would Jimmy Butler without Durant want to go to Phoenix? Now, maybe he would if they turned to him and say, look, we're going to trade Kevin, but then we're going to get all these assets back, and we'll give some of the assets to Miami for you. I would imagine then Wiggins would be on his way to Miami with his 26 or 28 million as the base of that. But maybe they get some filler contracts that they could move then to Miami. So maybe Looney doesn't stay. Maybe it's, okay, that Looney $9 million that he makes, we do Looney and Wiggins, and there's $35 million. They find some other stuff on the roster, but then they get Butler back, but they have Butler, Kuminga, Moody, first round picks, like that, because they don't have to give up for Butler what they're going to get back for Durant. They'll still be on the plus side of that. And they might be able to do a 2-way thing where they're saying, we got some youth here. We got some picks here. Now, they may have to move a pick or two to Miami too, but they'll be on the upside because Durant's better than Butler. So they may be able to flip that. They'd be able to flip some of that that the Warriors would give them, get Butler back, and then it's Butler, Booker, Beal. Look at that, Butler, Booker, Beal. It's the law office of Butler, Booker, and Beal. So then they get that. They flip a pick, but they keep some picks. They keep Kuminga because you look, if Miami asks for Kuminga, just like with the Warriors, nope, sorry. And then they tell Miami to then rot. And they say, okay, we don't need to trade for Jimmy Butler now because we can sell our fan base what we just traded for. Is that overly complicated? So this could be a three-way deal. We're going Golden State gets Durant, Phoenix gets Butler, those pieces, those younger pieces that in picks that the Warriors get. Some of that gets moved to Miami. Wiggins certainly would from a structure of the salary standpoint where you got to match those things. So maybe that's it. Maybe we just talked our way around a three-way deal. What do you think? No, you just care about Durant. I know, but I'm trying to make realistic sense of it because what happens, and I'm guilty of the same thing, is where I'll throw 5 players in a trade, which is a bunch of junk, and 5 mediocre or medium players do not equal 1 great player, unless you're getting a bunch of picks and people, the team says, hell with it, we're breaking it down, and we just want a bunch of first-round picks like OKC did back in the day. I don't think that's where Phoenix is. I don't think this egotistical, aggressive owner that they have, Matt Ishbia, is going to say, yeah, we're going to rip this thing down. Because the problem in Phoenix is it's not LA. Phoenix is a weird sports town. Because what happens in LA is they're disinterested. It's just kind of like it's a little bit what we are in the Bay Area, but we're a better sports town. But there is an extent of if there's not enough stars, if you're not winning enough, we kind of get bored, and there's other things to do in Northern California, just like there is in Southern California. Phoenix is different in that nobody's from there. I mean, not literally nobody, but in terms of a lot of snowbirds, a lot of Midwesterners, a lot of people are sick of the snow and the cold. And when the team is really good, they'll follow them, but not in a passionate way. It's not their team. The Arizona Cardinals are not anybody's team really down there. They have lots of other teams that they like. Like go to a Cardinals game. You go to a Cardinals Cowboys game, it's all Cowboys fans. You go to a Cardinals Niners game, it's all Niners fans. So they'll ebb and flow with the team, kind of like Southern California does. But the difference is people are from Southern California. They've been fans of the team. They just fall off the bandwagon when they suck and they go to the beach or do something else. In Phoenix, they were never really a fan, but they start to feel like, oh, I'm from this community. Okay, I'll start following the Suns if they're good, or the Diamondbacks when they go to the World Series. I was in a bar in Phoenix. This is no joke, and then I'll get out to the chat because there's a lot of great chat stuff going on. I was in a bar in Phoenix middle of last year, or 2 years ago, I guess it was, when Arizona made the run to the World Series. And it was near the end of the year, but the Cardinals are playing, and this bar had every jersey imaginable because people aren't from Phoenix. So I go into the sports bar with George, actually, because he was going to school down there, and we're watching, and there's all the TVs are on every single game. And it's not that it's a specific sports bar. Like you might go into a sports bar somewhere and say it's a Packers sports bar, Bills sport, whatever, in the Bay Area, and you can find those places. You can find those pockets where there are sports bars for certain teams. Phoenix is different in that you go into a sports bar and there's pockets of people around different TVs on a Sunday because that's their team. So there's a Buffalo crowd, and there's a Green Bay crowd, and there's a Denver crowd. And you understand? So it's all these different little mini pockets of fan bases that are at the sports bars. It's not just one dominant team. And that day, specifically, the Cardinals were playing the Cowboys at home. And actually, you know what it was? It was Josh Dobbs, who was the quarterback of Arizona, and they beat Dallas. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, God, the Diamondbacks are on, and it's near the end of the year, and they're trying to get a wild card spot. In fact, it might even been the playoffs. I think it might even been in the playoffs. And so it's all this football around, and then in this little corner are the Diamondbacks, like on this TV, because everybody, my point in saying all this is that there's sports fans, lots of sports fans in Phoenix, but they're not like of the local team. And they did ring a bell when the Diamondbacks won, but it was on this small little TV in the corner while all these NFL games are on, and all these these subcultures, these pockets of people are watching their team in Phoenix. So it's, but they were into the Cardinals game because they hated the Cowboys, just like everybody does. So the main TV was on the Cardinals, and they were watching the Cowboys, and the Cardinals ended up beating the Cowboys. And this was awesome. Now I remember it. They did free shots. Like, that's how big of a deal it was. Like, the Cardinals suck. So they were like, free shots. They beat the Cowboys. And I'm like, I'm not a Cardinals fan, but I'm going to jump up for a free shot. So I do that, whatever it was. It was rock good. It was terrible. I should have never done it. And I think it was tequila. It was worse than well. But anyway, that's beside the point. They're not huge sports fans, and so that brings me back to Jimmy Butler. So Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, knows that he's got to stay relevant, or else it's like, well, there's other things to do. Phoenix is nice. Here's golf. You can be outside. Only in the summer you can't be because you'll fry literally on the sidewalk. But outside of those few months, you can go outside all the time. There's tons of things to do. So it's kind of like the Bay in Southern California that way. Is if like our team's going to suck, or I never was really a fan of your team, of the local team, then I just won't go. Winter's beautiful in Phoenix. We all know that. So the Suns are playing. So what? I'll go do something else if they stink. So trading Durant, they can trade Durant. They possibly will trade Durant. Has anything broken, by the way, while I've been going on this Phoenix diatribe? No, don't see anything. Look at the make sure. But he knows that in that market, much like LA or the Bay, that they've got to stay relevant to a point, is my whole thing. So do I think that they would just tear it down and say Durant's gone? Or tearing it down? I don't think they would do that. Although, like I said, they could sell it with a Warriors trade to their fan base, but they could probably sell it better if they said, okay, we'll take a bunch of stuff from the Warriors and we'll take some of that stuff and trade it for Butler. And then we're on the positive side, even though we lost Durant, and we could sell that to Jimmy Butler, give him an extension. And all of a sudden it's Butler, as I said, the law firm of Butler, Booker, and Beal. And then I've got Jonathan Kuminga, and I have Moses Moody, and I have first-round picks. That's not so bad. We just talked our way through that. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? I like looking at the other side, because just throwing it out that what your side is going to get is only half the equation. And a lot of times it's just like, no, because the other GM's getting fired if you make that trade. I'm not saying that trade that I just proposed. I'm saying a lot of times we play fantasy general manager and we say to ourselves, boy, from our perspective, from my team's perspective, that's a great trade. Cool. The other GM's fired. So they're not going to do that deal unless the owner just says, to hell with it, we're doing it. Like what happened in Dallas. In Dallas, they just went, sorry, we think Luka's an ass. We're the new ownership group. We don't like Luka. And so we're going to make you make this trade. Now there's owners like that. We know that, but that's what happened there. All right, boy, I went on a long one there. What was that? 20, 30 minutes? Could have been. And you're going, I don't care about Phoenix, but I'm just explaining that it does matter. Let's see here. Anything? Did I miss anything? Okay. Let me see here. Just checking everybody out, making sure everybody's okay. And plus, I'm just giving my vocal cords a minute, because I'd probably be talked about 20 minutes. All right. Okay, we're good. I know people are talking about three ways and a couple other things I said there that I caught myself. I tried. No. Are you mad at me for no Super Bowl talk? I will talk about the Super Bowl, but like I said, it's like Kansas City and Philadelphia. The stories around the Super Bowl are great, and I'll get to them in just a second. The stories around the Super Bowl are great. This video I have from my son, who I don't know if he's going to join. I know he is going to join us, but it's noon there. No, I don't need that. Lorenzo's still laughing at things I said to him, so hopefully we can get him at some point. But he is on Radio Row. I do know that, so he's going to be busy, but we'll get him. I've not heard from young son. He'll get back to us at some point today. No, Super Bowl talk I am going to talk about, but I think there are things around the Super Bowl that are important to talk about. So here's where we are. Thanks for joining us. We're about 48 minutes into the show. John Lund Unleashed. Make sure that you are joining us on YouTube, checking us out on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. We have a website, johnlundunleashed.com, and that's where you can click to get everything and anything when it comes to John Lund Unleashed, whether it be archives of shows, live show right now, any of those kind of things. We got all that up there. We got a blog, which later on I'll write about this Kevin Durant situation. So anyway, that's what we got going on. Where we are on the chalkboard this morning on episode 52. I told you Mom on the meeting, Katie's return, trade machine. I just went through that with you. Where Golden State would be. Let's talk about that. Where the Warriors would be. You give me your thoughts on this thing. If they just hypothetically, like I said, it was some sort of a deal where Wiggins, I don't care what happens after that, right? I told you about a Miami situation, a 3, blah, 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 whatever. So Wiggins goes in the trade, hypothetically speaking. Kuminga has to go in the trade. You don't care about the picks later. That doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't matter as far as our conversation of where the Warriors would be. So Kuminga's gone, Wiggins is gone, and either Podziemski or I would think Moody. I think Moody would beg for it, and I think his agents would too. Like, look, man, I got to get I got to get out of here. I got to play somewhere. So I think more Moody than Podziemski, and they say they like Podziemski. So let's just say for the sake of conversation that picks go, which doesn't matter this year, but it's Moody in some combination. It's Wiggins, Moody, Kuminga, right? Wiggins, Moody, Kuminga are the main pieces that go. Maybe there's a throw in to make the salary work. Maybe there's a pick. Maybe Phoenix is bringing somebody back this way, a contract they don't like or something that's going to make it match. But for the principles of the deal, let's just say that it's Durant coming this way, probably with something. And then the other way is Wiggins, Kuminga, and Moody. First of all, does that trade work for you? It would for me, because you're bringing back Kevin Durant. That's the thing, is that you're making one last run, and you've decided that's it. Now, Brian is saying Draymond is gone. I don't know that Draymond would be gone. Now, again, everybody's opinion matters in this room. So if you say that Draymond would be part of that, I get it. I just don't think it would, because if you're going for one final run and you're going balls in and you're going all the chips in the center, here, let me do it here. All the chips in the center, then Draymond's staying because he's a winning piece. So it's going to be Wiggins as the big contract. Now, it could be Draymond as the big contract. You're right. It doesn't equal Durant. But what I'm saying is that it could be Draymond, but it's not going to be, because they're going to keep those guys together because it's one final run. Could be wrong, but that's probably how it works. Nurkic is not coming this way. So people are suggesting Nurkic, no friggin' chance. Although Phoenix is going to bring that up. Like, hey, if you want Durant, you got to take Nurkic. Like, they could try something like that. But I think let's just play with these principles for just a second. And I could be wrong, but it's got to be Wiggins. They're not taking Draymond's not going. It's got to be Wiggins as the big contract. They've got to get Kuminga if you're Phoenix. And Joe's got to just finally say, fine, I'm getting Durant. That's a unique player. That's one player that he absolutely would part with Kuminga for. And then Phoenix is saying, you don't play Moses Moody anyway. Just give us Moses Moody. And then Phoenix probably gives you something back that can be more of a depth piece, because you just lost 3 players. You don't really want to go 3 for 1. You probably want to go at least 3 for 2 and take somebody who at least could get a couple of minutes on your team so you're not completely depleted. So anyway, that's the scenario. So where would let me just pull up the NBA standings real quick to help me remind myself. So let me ask you that. Where would they be? If that's the deal, where are the Warriors in the West? And, I don't know what Phoenix is going to do at that point. Do they get Jimmy Butler? I don't know. But I don't think they'd be up at the Warriors. So let's look at this thing. Oklahoma City, Memphis, Houston, Denver, Lakers. Lakers are now 10 over 500. Clippers, they're still doing it with smoke and mirrors. Minnesota, by the way, Julius Randle is out for a couple of weeks, so not only not going to get traded, but Minnesota's going to sink like a stone. They're 4 over. Sacramento, I'm not saying they waved the white flag, because Zach LaVine is not terrible, but that trade did not make them better. So they got worse. And then Phoenix is 25 and 24, which is the whole reason why they're even entertaining Kevin Durant being traded, and they wouldn't be better by taking Durant off that roster short term. Even if they got Butler, I still don't think that roster is good, given what they would get back from Golden State. I still think the Warriors would be better, and there are the Warriors sitting in 10th place at 25 and 24, Mavs in 11th place, 26-25, and the Spurs are going to be a factor. They're 21 and 26 once they get De'Aaron Fox, and they may make another move. So if the scenario that I just laid out with Kevin Durant being a Warrior and Wiggins, Moody, and Kuminga gone, where are the Warriors? Where are the Warriors in the West? Now, to me, if they could get in, the fact that they would have to play a playing game would not be great. If they could be one of the top teams, if they could get up to 6 where the Clippers are, which I think they could in that scenario. Minnesota's not good. Sacramento's not good. Phoenix is not good. So Dallas and San Antonio are going to be players, because Dallas is going to get Anthony Davis into the mix, and they're going to get better. So of those teams, Minnesota's going to go downhill. The Kings are worse. Phoenix is going to be worse. Throw them out. And the Warriors are 10th. So that puts the Warriors up to 7. And then Mavericks are going to be an issue as well. Just for the sake of our fun, if they could get up to 6, and right now the 3 is Houston. If the Warriors with Durant played Houston, they probably win that series. After that, let's just have a little bit more fun. And let's say that the Grizzlies would be the next team in the middle. And, this is all hypothetical fun stuff. Ha, ha, ha. Memphis would be next. Kevin Durant Warriors against Memphis. Great series. I don't think they're going, whatever. If they go beyond that, let's say they play Oklahoma City, a team that's won nothing and is very good, very young. So it does make them interesting, I guess is what it does. Does it make them the favorite in the Western Conference? It does not, because you're giving up all that stuff and you're pretty light as far as depth is concerned. Now, you're not where Phoenix is depth-wise. Phoenix has no depth right now. So you still have some guys coming off the bench. You're going to keep, like I said, let's just say that Moody's in that deal. So Podziemski's still on the team. He's coming off the bench. Looney's probably still on the team, or he's going to Phoenix. Is like, they can sell him. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Post looks like he can be decent. So you're not very deep. There's no question about it. You'd have to get in the buyout market probably and have somebody go, hey, I want to play with those guys. I want to make that final run with those guys. So you probably need a buyout guy or two. I mean, you're not perfect. There's no doubt about it. But your big three is Durant, Curry, Draymond. It's good. I mean, it's still got issues. It might be Phoenix-ish. So give me your thoughts on that. If we did that hypothetical, if they did that, I don't do anything. If they did that, yeah, the Kings are playing well under Doug Christie, but the fact is that taking De'Aaron Fox, no matter how big of a pain in the butt he became, off the team and putting Zach LaVine, who's had a really nice season, on it, does not make you better. They're not better. They're not better, and so I don't expect them. I expect them to maybe be I expect them to be a play-in type of a team, but again, you're looking at the Western Conference and you're looking at the bottom. It's really fascinating because these young teams at the top, Thunder, Grizz, Rockets, those are young teams, but in the playoffs they've won nothing. Those teams, and then it gets interesting with the Nuggets and the Lakers. The Lakers, we'll see what they do if they gel with Luka. It wouldn't completely blow my mind if they traded LeBron. It really wouldn't, because as currently constructed, you have two ball dominant players, and you're not trading Luka. He's the future of your team. Probably not trading LeBron. I mean, I'd put it 90-10 against, or maybe even higher, maybe 95, maybe 99. But still, if I'm the Lakers, I at least have to have the conversation. Like, if because the Warriors are going to call them, and if I'm the Lakers and I go, well, okay, Luka's 25, we could try to make a run at this with LeBron right now, or we could say, you know what, we're making our transition. That Luka's 25 and Kuminga's 22 and Moody's 24 or 23 or whatever Moody is. The same trade that I just broke out for Durant works with the Lakers as well. Think about that. So LeBron and KD makes a little bit more than KD, but let's just say the same scenario happens. And I know what you're going to do. You're going to vomit on your screen, but because you don't like LeBron. But the same scenario works for LeBron and for the Lakers. I might do that. I got a 25-year-old Luka Doncic. And I could, LeBron probably is going to leave at the end of the year. So I'm the Lakers, and I entertained at least took the phone call from the Lakers, from the Warriors last year. So the same scenario works. Wiggins goes to the Lakers. Kuminga goes to the Lakers. Moody picks. All of a sudden I'm going, okay, I just got a young bunch of guys. LeBron was going to likely be gone in the next 1 or 2 years. And now I have a 25-year-old superstar point guard playing with players that are around his age. And all of a sudden, you know what? This ain't so bad. And Reeves is probably not part of that trade. You'll probably, you might get something. You might get something along with LeBron again because you're trading all those players. So somebody that maybe can be in the rotation. And I'm not looking at the Lakers roster right now, but that makes a lot of sense if I'm the Lakers. Same as here. You got to have a superstar player in place. Well, that's Luka. They're not going to cry. I said that earlier. LeBron's not a dyed-in-the-wool Lakers guy. I tons of Lakers fans that I know and friends that I know. It's different. He's not Kobe. He wasn't there his whole career. He's not Magic. He's not looked at that in that way with Lakers fans and within the organization. So if he came here, and I'd love to get your opinion on that, and then Kuminga and Wiggins and Moody and Picks go to the Lakers are set up better for the future, to be honest, because LeBron's 1 or 2 years and that's it. So all of a sudden you got a 25-year-old superstar point guard playing with guys in their early to mid-20s as well. And now you can grow that team, and you can't just win one title possibly. You could win a lot. Sorry, I just made the case for the Lakers, and I'm going to defend the Chiefs today. Oof, awful. Tuning out right now, I can see it. But that's interesting to me. Let's see. Anybody? Sorry. Let's see. Hi, Steve. I doubt LeBron want to go to Golden State Warriors. He seems not to like it here. If LeBron James is being pushed aside, which I believe he is in LA, and he's no longer the main guy, and his ego is massive, and LeBron's doing all this, I'm the king. Oh, yeah? Well, Luka's sitting on the bench last night going, this is my team now, bitch. I mean, that's what he's doing. He's like going, hey, LeBron, that's cool, man. You can do whatever you want, but this is going to be my team next year. And if LeBron's feeling that from Lakers fans, and again, he's not Kobe. He's not beloved like that down there. And he might have Durant syndrome here, where LeBron's ego couldn't handle, like Durant couldn't. But Durant's older now. We all get older and more mature. And Durant is, I'm sure, past all that. Like, whose team is it? And all that. Who cares? Like, in the midst of all that, he did voice his, I don't know, it wasn't concern. It was his ego talking that this is not his team and he doesn't get treated like Steph. Well, yeah, you don't, because this is his team and was his team and is his team and will still be his team. And when LeBron comes up here, if LeBron were to come up here, Freudian slip, if LeBron were to come up here, this would still be Steph's team. It would not be the Kings team. It would be Steph's team. And so you would have to be Robin to Steph, even though Steph is a Robin too, two Robins. But you would have to be the, I don't know if the back seat's right. Maybe they're co-front seat guys. But LeBron's coming here to be on Steph's team. And so as much as I don't like LeBron off the court for all the weird stuff he does, I completely respect what he does on the court. At 40, nobody's ever done this in the history of the league. There are a lot of things he has done that nobody in the history of the league has done. So you have to respect that part of it. Just the game itself and how good he is and how much he keeps himself in shape. And we're forgetting one thing too. They love each other. Ever since the Olympics, they love each other. They're close. And Draymond's close with LeBron, despite the fact that, the whole teabag thing happened and cost the Warriors a championship. I couldn't be close with someone like that who baited me into that and lost me a championship, but Draymond is. So Draymond's close with him. Steph is very close with him now. They're all friends. LeBron would come up here because he's getting phased out in LA and he knows it. And LA doesn't beloved him like they do former Lakers, and they don't. One thing, you can hate Laker fans all you want, and they're going to be invading a stadium near you very soon when Luka takes over for a number of years, when the Warriors are trying to rebuild this thing. But this I know is that if he's getting phased out there and feels like it's not going to be his team, he'd come up here. There's no question. And there's business interests, and he's not moving far from LA, and his family can stay in LA and all those kind of things, but he can also develop business interests in Northern California. And I don't know if you know this, there's a few bucks here. So it wouldn't be the worst thing. And then he gets to ride out his career with guys he likes in Draymond Green and Steph Curry. And there could be that scenario. So those are two actually big scenarios. Is there one you like over the other? I can probably guess. Or do you just want to keep the way that they're going? Because I think Durant and LeBron's older, but I don't know. I guess maybe Durant's a little bit better. I mean, I think you're splitting hairs depending on who likes whom. And I know that a lot of people don't like LeBron for some of the things he does. And I say it all the time, the king stuff and all that. If you're the king, man, you never have to say it. You never have to put a crown on your own head. You don't have to tell people you're the greatest. Jordan never did. Anybody in the history of the game who is actually the greatest doesn't have to say they're the greatest because they already know. Now, if you ask them after a couple of tequilas, they probably will tell you. But generally speaking, he's saying it all the time. So I don't love that. But the way he's looking at it is he's not tied to LA like Steph is tied to Golden State. He's bounced all around. Would he go to the Warriors? Yeah. Like Steph, likes Draymond. Would the biggest thing is, would the Lakers trade him? I think they would now that they have Luka. And then the other question, so we did that whole thing where we looked at the other side, right? We looked at it from the other team, who's got a 25-year-old superstar point guard who they'd like to actually build players his age around him. And on the court, LeBron and Luka are both ball-dominant players. They don't really fit together, short-term, long-term. And I would imagine that in the offseason, they would look to move LeBron because they are committed to Luka. And I saw a thing yesterday where somebody wrote, well, he doesn't have to sign long-term in L.A. Luka will sign long-term in L.A. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I remember when they got Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard didn't, but the only reason he didn't is because Kobe hated him. Kobe was like, get out of here. This guy's a jackass. He's a clown. We don't want him. So I haven't looked at the chat line, and I will right now before I move on in a second. I would imagine most people don't want LeBron. I get it. But if you want to ride this thing out, or LeBron, you want to ride this thing out, or Durant, I think without looking at the chat line, it would be Durant, LeBron, ride it out. Because Joe Lacob's going to look at this thing, and he's going to say, I'm going to try to run this thing in the ground. That is becoming clear by the moment that this whole two timeline or keeping Kuminga or keeping this guy or that guy's untradeable, that's gone. He's saying, you know what? I got to make one last run at this. And the only chance I have is either Phoenix or LA to get one of those guys to come up here. That's the only way. And that whole thing about, because I said this a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't be surprised if Steph went to LA, went to the Lakers, but not now. They're not going to have Luka and LeBron and Steph, and then they'd have nothing else around that. They're not going to do that. So now it's either LeBron comes up here to Golden State, or Durant comes to Golden State, or nothing. Those are the three scenarios at this point. I don't know how I would. You know what's weird about it is I popped that thing up on the screen a little bit earlier about my friend from Phoenix and what he said, And like I said, he is a good source for Suns news. And let me just pop that up one more time. Here it is. So that's a guy in Phoenix, John Gambadoro, does a talk show in Phoenix. I'm just going to go to the bottom. He says, one source told me he will most likely end up in Golden State with Butler to Phoenix. We'll keep digging. But he's saying, look, I do not know for sure, so not reporting. But he's, so he's kind of in the middle. And that's the same thing that Windhorst said. Windhorst said, I don't know. Windhorst said it, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there are rumors of this, this, and this. And what that tells me is, and I'm just looking at my phone to make sure George hasn't checked in from New Orleans yet. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me just ask him. Sorry. And I know you're probably going to get mad at me for this, but I'm telling him, I said, what time? And if you could be on Radio Row and give us a sense, and give us, boy, I'm terrible at texting, a scene setter. Okay. We'll work on that. So he is going to join us. Anyway, there you go. I probably forgot what I was talking about because I was texting there, but just give me your thoughts. Oh, I know. So I popped up Gambadoro. He's saying, I'm not really sure. And then a little bit earlier, I played for you this. Let me just throw this up one more time, and then we'll move on to something else.
Entertaining. They are at the end here. The deadline is here. They have no Brad Beal trade. They are 25-24. They have a very aggressive owner, okay? And so now they are examining, this team isn't working. We can't trade Beal. What are we going to do? Durant has 1 year on his contract. So they have now begun entertaining, should we trade Kevin Durant? And they have begun those discussions across the league. Now I'd like to shift you to the Bay. 25-24, veteran team, underachieving, difficult time trading for a star. They've been looking for a year for a star, looking for LeBron, for Paul George, for Markin, and all these things. Very aggressive owner who can't stand this. Here, I am describing to you how this began. And so now we have the Warriors and Suns discussing the possibility of bringing Kevin Durant back, okay? I am not going to sit here and even begin to project or guess as to how this may go down. Is it possible that Kevin Durant could be traded to the Warriors? Yes. Will it happen? I'm not afraid to say I don't know. This is potentially a 3, 4, 5 team transaction. It could involve like a dozen other players because that's the nature of the way NBA trades. It could involve Jimmy Butler because it is possible, guys, that the Suns can acquire Jimmy Butler, but not for Brad Beal, but for Kevin Durant. And so that after a month of trying to pair them together, they could end up in an elaborate way being traded for each other. But I got to tell you, as you can hear as I describe this, it sounds complicated. It is. So I do not want to imply that anything's going to happen.
Okay, we can end it there. So they're all unsure, which is fine. But a lot of times what they'll do is they'll be a lot more emphatic if they think something is going to happen. So you kind of read between the lines there, both with my guy in Phoenix and with Windy there. So it doesn't mean anything's going to happen, but it seems like on the table right now, and I'm just reading something that Sam Amick, who does a great job covering the NBA, friend of ours, and we'll try to get him on the show. Sam Amick wrote in The Athletic that you should check out, and it says the following: Kevin Durant surrounding a potential trade to the Warriors escalated quickly last night. Ron Burgundy. Ooh, that escalated quickly. There were moments last night where I thought this was actually going to happen, and he says more intel, and I just read another tweet because I haven't read the piece yet. I'd have to really delve into this thing, and we'll do this a little bit later. And as I said, that's why later on I'll have a chance to delve into this, and I'll write a whole blog on it, plus do a separate video of it. And it's kind of what we did the other day when this Myles Garrett thing broke. So we talked about it a lot on the fly on the show, and I thought we did a far above average job doing that. But then afterwards, when I got a chance to text and call a few people, and then to see what the Niners' interest was. And then I wrote that piece, johnlundunleashed.com. You can check that out. And it became, we went a little deeper into it. So what I'll do is I'll try to text around. I'll try to get some news on this stuff, read a couple of pieces, and then we'll have some more intel on this stuff. Maybe by that time it actually will happen. But as I went a little bit deeper on this whole thing, and I'm looking at just a reel from Warriors News, people are saying now that the Heat have inquired about Durant, which that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, because if Butler can't get a deal done going to Phoenix, then he would probably want to stay in Miami, which is funny because then Riley would be like, nope, we're trading you to Phoenix. But I don't think Phoenix would want him because then he could opt out at the end of the year. So he's got some saying where he's going. But here's another part of it. So this is, again, part of Sam Amick's piece. Without reading the whole thing, I'm kind of piecing it together here. Could Draymond Green be traded to achieve those means? Talking about Kevin Durant, quote unquote, to Sam Amick's piece. It's 100% been discussed. So the people in the chat room are going, ha, I told you, Lund. I told you. Maybe. I mean, maybe they would want to keep. I would think that if I'm Phoenix, why would I want Draymond Green? Unless, I guess, if Butler's coming, that would make sense. I want Draymond Green as part of the deal. Butler comes, and I got 2 winning pieces there that replace Durant. And Draymond is the big contract. If they were getting Butler, then Draymond would be a big contract. But then the thing I would have a confusion with, and again, we're getting far too deep into finances, which we all hate to talk about, but the salaries have to match. So if Draymond's going to Phoenix, what's the contract that's going to go to Miami to get Jimmy Butler? Because you've got to have a big base contract. And Draymond's like 25, 26, which is only half of what Butler's making. But what I'm saying is that the deal for Wiggins, his deal is like 26, 27 million. So he could be a player that you would flip for Butler who plays the same position. So then that would actually work. Whereas with Draymond, it's like, okay, you're trying to keep him in Phoenix. So then you got to tear up the rest of your roster. Maybe they take Nurkic. They probably wouldn't. Who would take Nurkic? He's not even playing right now. So anyway, we're keeping up to date on everything that's going on. Nothing has happened, but we're just trying to keep you up to date on everything that is buzzing around. So that's the latest. And again, later on, I will do a blog right after the show ends. I'll do a blog and new video when I get some more information on where this Durant thing is. But based on what we knew at 8 o'clock or so when we went on about an hour and 11 minutes ago, I'm giving you the latest information that we have. So there you go. All right, episode 52. Katie's return, trade machine. Where would Golden State be? We've established that. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Kuzma to the Bucks we talked about. So we can move on from NBA talk after one more thing. And I'm sure you saw this yesterday. Via NBC Sports Bay Area, this is Dennis Schroeder. Quote, it's modern slavery at the end of the day. Everybody can decide where you're going, even if you have a contract. At the end of the day, if they say you're not coming to work tomorrow, you're going over there, they can decide that. What I like in that too, and it's not a perfect comparison, and race is always a touchy subject, but I don't like to use the term cancer. My dad died of cancer, and it's just not a term that I like in regards to sports because cancer is so serious and sports is so not at the end of the day. So when people say player X is a cancer in the locker room, I hate it. And I don't use the word hate, but I don't like it. And a lot of people have been touched by cancer in their life, and touched is a wrong word too, because it's a negative. Cancer is a negative thing. And I get the comparison. I do. And I'm not angry with people who use it. It is what it is. But I think anybody who's been touched deeply by cancer, I've had cancer twice in my life. My dad died of it. My mom had breast cancer. So it's touched my life a lot and my family. And so to me, I just don't like using that term cancer. And it's the same thing here with Dennis Schroeder. I don't like when you use the term slavery, because slavery is there's such a negative, obviously for obvious reasons, and it's negative. It's a very negative word, and it's a very touchy subject. And so if you're a player like Dennis Schroeder, who has made over $100 million in your career by being an okay, above average NBA player, you've made a boatload of money, man. And that's not slavery. I understand that it's not fun to potentially be traded. I think he's been traded 5 times in his career. So I understand his unique perspective to a point, not using the word slavery, but using the term because he's been traded so many times. And I'm sure he gets some sort of PTSD when trade deadline comes around and he sees his name in rumors, because then he's thinking, damn, I got to move my family again. And he's got a wife and he's got young kids, and I respect that. But like I said, using the word cancer to describe somebody in a locker room makes my skin crawl. And using the word slavery when you've gotten paid over $100 million for being an above average NBA player and you can set up 10 generations of your family or more, I just don't think that's the right term to use. I think that it's a lazy term to use. And I think that if you really wanted to, you could use a lot of different terms except for that one, but people do. And so I think, again, I'm going to speak for something that I don't fully understand, but I just don't think that's right to use the term slavery when you're getting paid that kind of money, when you're being compensated for the inconvenience. And it's an inconvenience. I've moved all over the country due to radio, but it's not the same thing. I mean, I've worked I started my career in Salt Lake City, and I was in Portland, and I was in Dallas, and I was in Pittsburgh, and I moved all over the place by my own choosing to try to improve my lot in life and my, climb up the ladder in this business. So that was that's what I had to do, I think, to get better. Now, again, comparisons to sports are not the same. He got traded around and he's probably frustrated and he'd like to make a home and he'd like to have his kids go to the same school. And I don't completely understand it, but my son lived in about 5 places before he could even, where am I? And my son was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then he went to Dallas, and then we went to Salt Lake City, then we went to Portland, and then we finally settled here in 2010. But he was born in 2002. So in the first 8 years of his life, I think we lived in like 5 different cities. And thank God he wasn't going to school at that point or really into it. I mean, he was in like first grade, maybe the last time we moved here for good. But so it wasn't easy on him. And I know it's a touchy subject, but I just think it's misused in so many ways in sports. Cancer is misused. He's a cancer in the locker room. Ugh. If you've been touched by cancer, that just kind of makes your skin crawl. Like I have, and I'm sure you have. A lot of people have. It's not unique that I've gone through all this with my family. I'm sure you have too. So I don't know if you're that way with like I am, where I kind of just get a twitch when somebody uses that term that someone's a cancer in the locker room. I don't like it. If you use it, it's fine. It's not going to offend me or I'm going to get pissed off. And I understand the use of the term. But when Dennis Schroeder says, man, getting paid all this money and having to move all the time is like slavery. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I've traveled with NBA teams. It's not. I've traveled on private planes with a team. I have covered teams. I see where they live. I see the hotels that they stay in. I see the way that you're treated. I see the food that you get. I see that the fans and the adulation and the way that you live your life. It's the envy of everyone. Everyone wants that. So nobody's got a violin out because you've been traded 5 times. That's not the right term to use. And I know as a white guy sitting here that people say, what do you know about slavery? I don't know anything about slavery, and it's awful. But what I am saying is that in the history of it and everything else, but comparing that to you getting paid millions and millions and millions and living the less than 1% life that everybody envies, and you won at life. You're Dennis Schroeder, and I'm not saying you haven't worked hard, and I'm not saying it sucks that you got to have your kids pulled out of school all the time. That's the downside of the NBA, and I'm certainly not saying it's easy. And where you've gotten to yourself in life and the amount that you've worked and everything else, congratulations, you've won life. But to me, if slavery had affected my family and kind of like cancer has affected my family, and then I heard a guy throw that term around like that, I'd be pissed. I'd just be pissed because you don't know. And maybe Dennis Schroeder does know. And I'm not saying it's easy to be a black man in America or Germany or where he's from. I'm not saying that in the slightest because I don't know. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I bet there's a lot of people around him that were probably saying, maybe that's not the best term to use when you're making hundreds of millions of dollars and living the kind of life that you're living, even though it's not fun to get traded and pull your kids out of school and everything else. That's all I'm saying. The only thing I can relate it to, and I did relate it to, and it might not be perfect, is cancer, because I've been affected by it so much and my family has. And so when someone says cancer in the locker room, I go, ugh. And when someone compares being a professional athlete, making millions and millions and millions of dollars like he has to slavery, I just go, nah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So anyway, you can slam me for it and say I don't know, and I'll completely understand that. But when I see terms like that, and I don't want to make the show negative, and I certainly don't want to get on a soapbox and talk about it, and I know it's uncomfortable for people, this topic, but I'm thinking to myself, that's probably not right, Dennis Schroeder. That's probably not right that you're going to make that comparison. And not everybody's perfect, and I'm not anti-Dennis Schroeder because of it. But I'm just saying, if it affected my family, like cancer has affected my family, I'd be like, he doesn't know anything about it. Because if he did, he wouldn't throw it around like that. And that's how I feel like with cancer is like, if people had really been affected to that level and seen the pain that cancer causes up front and personal, then they wouldn't use a term loosely like they do cancer in the locker room, just like Dennis Schroeder wouldn't use the NBA as like slavery, because it's not. Because you got traded 5 times does not mean that's what it's like. So anyway, there you go. Speaking of trades, I don't know that I've mentioned it. There you go. From Shams this morning, Bucks trading Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and a pick for Kuzma. And I do feel bad, even though, again, Chris Middleton's making a ton of money in the league, but he's going to an 8-41 Wiz team. I guess there's worse things, and Kyle Kuzma is going to play for a team that's near the top of the Eastern Conference. So that part is absolutely been done. We'll keep you up to date on anything that's going on with, let's see, let me make sure that there's nothing new. Okay, we just gave you the latest on Durant. All right, let's move on. You can give me your thoughts on what I just talked about. And again, I'm not saying that is a perfect comparison of what I just made or that I completely understand, but that's the kind of comparison I have when I saw that yesterday, when I saw that those comments from Shooter, and I just thought, it doesn't work. Maybe it does for some people, but that one certainly I didn't think worked. But I could be 100% wrong. All right, let me get out some lines because I got some people who want to discuss things, and then we got to move on to football stuff because we are 119 into this thing and we haven't even hit up on football, and we do have a Super Bowl going on. It is Wednesday. Let me just double check on Young Son. I asked him when he's coming on, and he hasn't responded to me. All right, let's get to it. Let me get to some supers here. Thank you for tuning into the show today. John Lund Unleashed. Make sure that you're following us and giving us a thumbs up and everything, because that helps the algorithm. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. We are also live on X and Instagram at John Lund Radio. You can follow us there. And for all things Unleashed, and I'll update later the Kevin Durant story and everything else, plus put a video with it for the story of the day at John Lund Unleashed, at johnlundunleashed.com, not at, just johnlundunleashed.com. All right. Hello, Nathan. Good to see you. Nathan, by the way, I'm going to, for those who have joined the Lund Loyalist Club, I did get in some new, like I told you, some new hats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit you up via email, and I want to know where to send those. And then I think I told you this yesterday, the exciting news on the show is, and I got to give Larry Krueger credit for this, because after we were talking, after I did his show the other night, night before last, Krug show, really great. You should subscribe. And so I was talking to Krug about merchandise. I said, yeah, I just got a bunch of stuff in and this, that. And he goes, there's a better way to do that. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, YouTube, you can connect a store to it. You don't have to take hold of everything. They'll send out everything out to people. And so what I did was, I haven't posted it yet, but I did a trucker hat, a bucket hat, a black sweatshirt, a white sweatshirt, and a sweatshirt that's more geared and better and fitted to women. And so it'll be 3 hoodies, one for women that's white, white for men and women, or for men, which women could buy too, and then a trucker hat and a bucket hat. So those will be on there, and then it'll be really easy, because then you'll just be able to go to the YouTube store, which will be on my YouTube page, and then you can just order it from there. And what I'll do is I'll order them, and the people who are Lund Loyalists, I will make sure that the first one is on me. So I do have those hats, so I'm going to send them out to people. I think there's 7 or 8 people who have joined already. So I'll send those out, which will then pay for your subscription right there in the first month, and we'll start doing those chats and everything. But like I said before, we're going to make it worth your while. I'm not going to just take your money, because that's ridiculous. So thank you, Nathan. Thank you so much. John Holmes, hello, everybody. Stand back. When we were talking about college football national signing day, go Gators. All right, dude, like you said, if people want to talk about things like that, I'm down. I've lived in places where college football was king, and I've done those shows. Where it's like, okay, recruiting day. It's crazy. I've done national, I've done Sirius, and I've done ESPN on national signing day too. And it was like people from the South going, you better talk about Bama. And it was like, I had to get all versed in, these 5-star guys and everything like that. Believe me, it's not, everything's my cup of tea. I wasn't going to say it wasn't my cup of tea, but I can do it. I can absolutely do it. And that's what I'm talking about with chats. John Holmes, you've donated to the show a lot, man. I'll do a separate show with you just talking about college football. Seriously. Or just talking about national signing day. Because I don't know if there's a wide enough net for people to want to hear that around here. But again, I'm a national show. So we get a lot more and more people. I'm getting a lot of feedback from people who are saying, hey man, talk this, talk that. And I'm trying to not only talk about the local teams, but the national stories. I don't want to ignore the national stories. And I think that's what's going to take us to the next level. Is we're all interested in compelling stories, whether they be local or national. Right. So I'm always going to have a local flair to my show, but I also am going to hit more national stuff than I ever hit on the radio, because I think that there's a wider audience. And I also think that compelling talk is compelling talk no matter what. So anyway, thank you, John Holmes. I will do that because you have definitely donated a lot to the show, and it is much appreciated. All right. All right. We are past football. If anybody else has anything to say, if you want to mention Schroeder, that's totally fine. But like I said, that just rubbed me the wrong way, like cancer does in that regard. So that's why I said it. I could be wrong. All right. He just said Charmiston, not a whole lot of good sports. Play the pop down. I could join on my phone and walk around. But no, we're not doing phone. Look, I could record it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. He says he's watching Fred Warner on with McAfee right now. I'm just going to do real quick. And you get a chance. Same link as yesterday. Okay. Let me make sure that makes any kind of sense. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Just doing a little on-air producing there. All right. We are through it. All right. Let's do football, since George is going to come on very shortly. Let's do a little bit of football and discuss that as we are through episode 52, Mom on the Meeting, KD return, trade machine, where Golden State would be with Durant or LeBron. Schroeder comments, Kuzma to the Bucks. Let's get to New Orleans. This was last night. So George was George was out the media party last night, and I'm going to play this when he comes on. I'm not going to hold it back though, because we're at the New Orleans slot, and I thought that he would be here at this point, but he was doing other shows. Okay, I know what we're going to do. Okay, yeah, we can just have him on his phone. Phone is fine. Okay. Does he need the link? Let's see here. Use a link from yesterday. He's going to walk around. This will be cool because what we'll be able to see. You're going to be walking. You're going to be walking virtually, actually in reality, on Radio Row. Sorry, I know this is going to piss you off, but I want to see if he can do this. I said, get near the McAfee show with Warner, so then we can just steal it. It'll be great. All right, let's start on this because he's going to call us at any point. He sent me some videos because I said, look, we want to feel New Orleans. We want to feel what it's like to be in New Orleans right now at the Super Bowl. So this was one thing that he sent me from, with no context whatsoever. He sent me this from the media party last night in New Orleans. Like, what the hell is that? Like, seriously, what is that? And so I'm going to ask him what the heck that was. I'll play that for him. And then he's got some stuff from Bourbon Street that he's going to play. But yeah, he's going to call in. And he's going to get, no, he's texting me right now. I got the bubbles I can do right now. And let's do it. Let's go. Said, let's go. All right. I'm going to look for him. He's going to be in the green room in a second. We'll get him on. So I know. I don't know. I have no idea what that is. Let me see if we can play it again. I don't know. There's the sprinkler. I mean, you got the sprinkler at the end. So anyway, he's going to join us in just a second. He can explain exactly what's going on. Plus, he'll just the rest of the craziness. Yeah, I will tell George to find a listen a lot. We'll get, like I said, Lowe gave me a laugh and said, "Yeah, let me see what I can do," because he's on Radio Row. But he'll do that. He'll absolutely. I don't know that he was drunk last night, Steve. I'm not so sure. But anyway, we'll get to that. So he's going to join us. I don't know. There he is, right there. All right, let's get him on fast because he's got stuff to do. He's on Radio Row, and there he is. And it's going to be loud. I can see that right now.
How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on?
You're having a good hair day. Tell us what's going on.
So we are in the middle of Radio Row as we speak.
Good.
There's the Super Bowl sign in the background.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought it would be funny if I walked around, show you everything. I mean, it's pretty chaotic if I do say so.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. So Wednesday Monday and Tuesday are slow. Wednesday gets crazy. Thursday's banana, and Friday is out of this world. That's how the week works. Yeah.
And I can get you front row seats as of right now to a pretty cool show, if I do say so myself. Let me walk past all the.
What do we got? Oh, this is good, man. You're doing a great job. Might pay your rent this month.
So that is the Pat McAfee show. Fred Warner is actually on right now. He's talking over there.
Put us back to there. Go back to that.
Oh, it's a bit chaotic in that section, if I do say so myself.
Come on, man.
Here, I'll try to get you the best view.
Just give us a quick view of it. Let me see. Let us see it. So is that Fred Warner right there? Oh yeah, okay. That's Fred Warner. See, this is awesome. You're doing a great job.
Can you see it?
Nice. Yeah. Good job, man. Keep it going. Where else are we going? Give us a little tour here.
I know. So here we got. That's ESPN Radio right there. They have a few guys on right now. I think Mark Ingram's on there right now.
The old Saints running back.
Let's see. If I go over here, there's my buddy. We're going on. Here we have.
What are you guys on?
Threads. We are on from 2 to 4 Central, so I believe we're an hour ahead of you guys.
2. So 12 to 2. You'll be on 12 to 2.
And then over here, we have Sirius XM. If you find it over here.
Yeah.
This is Sirius XM. Mad Dog Russo was on here for a good amount of time.
2 years ago, you got a selfie with him, right?
I did get a selfie with him.
Very nice.
He moves fast. I will say that we tried to snag him yesterday, and we turned our heads, we whipped our heads, and he was already gone. So that's how quickly he moves. Over here is the Bleacher Report section. Cam Jordan was here for a good amount of time this morning. Oh, and that's Debo. Funny enough that I say that.
Show us Debo.
Let's see if I can get a good view.
He's cranky. He's cranky. Don't approach Debo. He's cranky. But you can try. Where is he? Oh, he's on the set there.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Show us again. There you go. Look at those guys working hard security.
They would.
I'm just telling you, if you try to approach Debo, man, he's cranky.
He didn't look too happy to be up there. No, I will say, cranky. But there's a lot of Niners in the house so far today.
Is there?
I just watched Pat walk past Fred Warner at the Pat McAfee show. That was Debo over there. Maybe we find Brandon Ayuk, ASU guy, get him on the show. That would.
Fred's cool, by the way. You could approach Fred. Fred is way cool.
Yeah,
Fred is very cool.
I think Fred would be really nice. Every time I look around, I see a flock of people surrounding one guy, and I can safely assume that is an NFL player. Jaden Daniels, ASU guy. My friend tried to approach him for a quick interview, and he had 6 different dudes kind of push him to the side and say, "You're not getting anywhere near."
All right, you got to try, man.
Which is very fair.
Hey, if you don't ask, the answer's always no. So you got to try.
Exactly. We have to try. We're students. We're young guys. So we're kind of assuming that they might give us the benefit of the doubt because we're younger. Some guys don't. Some guys do. Definitely not the 6'5" man that his job is to protect Jaden Daniels. He definitely doesn't care what age you are.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm taking us around. Oh, speaking of Jaden Daniels, let's see. He's right over here doing a interview on the biggest set I've ever seen. There's a car.
Yell something about ASU to him. Yell forks up or something and see if he responds to it. Where is he? You're not going to get kicked out.
Here.
I do dumb stuff all the time there.
He's sitting in the far chair over there.
Yell forks up. You're going to get kicked out.
I don't know. I'm not yet. I'm trying to get an interview with him later. I want to stay friendly. Come on. Not yet.
All right.
You know what? I think, what's funny is I would never have thought this in a million years, but Bounty has the biggest set, and they all have the best
favorite gals?
Yeah. Yeah. So Bounty has Gronk on for 4 hours tomorrow. Drew Brees is coming
through.
Imagine
Gronk's getting paid to sit with Bounty. Probably like $100,000 an hour. I'm not even kidding you. He'll probably make $500,000.
Look how big this set is. It's like a playground.
For Bounty? I'm telling you, he's probably going to get paid $500,000 to sit with Bounty for 4 hours. I'm not even kidding you. These guys make so much money going down there to do these things.
And the best part is they're giving out free wings.
Oh, they did that. They do that every year. That is the best. Go get some of those.
They give out free. Well, I'll grab them a little later. That might be a snack for the middle of the day. But
you got to understand, you're young. The media will suck those wings up so fast. When stuff is free, media is like free.
I will say that I went to the media party last night.
Yeah.
We watched Steve Smith walking around. We watched a ton of other media that we recognize walking around. I will say, I don't know how the media parties were for you in the past.
Yeah.
But New Orleans did the media party very, very well.
It's the best one.
It was right on the river.
Yeah.
And you could see the bridge with the Mardi Gras lights. They maybe 6 different live performances going on in separate rooms. They had like dancers come out and do performances.
You mean like this?
They had an open bar.
What's that?
Yeah, exactly.
What is that? Can you explain that to us?
What?
What was that?
I have no idea. They just all of a sudden they came marching out. I will say that the open bar was very nice. That was a nice touch.
What'd you drink? What'd you drink?
A little bit of everything. Maybe like a vodka cranberry or Sprite or something like that.
Yeah, your eyes look a little. You look like you maybe. Yeah, this is what you're supposed to look like at the Super Bowl. A little haggard. Like I can see it.
We've had a week so far for sure. I will say that between the first day and all the shows that we did, opening night, the media party yesterday, we haven't had a night off yet. But it's made for a fun week.
You're not supposed to. You're supposed to work 24/7 and sleep on the plane.
Exactly. We've done everything that you could possibly do when it comes to events that is hosted for the media.
Yeah.
So we've really done everything.
Okay, what else is around you? Show us some other, like, turn your phone and show us what else is around. What's around you right now?
Oh, you want to see Shannon Sharp?
Yeah, of course.
Let's see. He is right.
Good guy. We've had him on a couple times at the Super Bowl. Really good guy. Right behind you.
And Chad Johnson.
Yeah, see, they do that podcast. It's a great podcast.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They're amazing. But it's
Club
quite
Shay
funny.
Shay.
It's quite funny to be in the general vicinity of them. I think he made eye contact with me as soon as I put my phone down. I think he saw me put up a little selfie there. This is the crowd that surrounds McAfee. Mind you, everybody here is media.
Yep. Let's see. See, today it's starting to get busier. Like I said, tomorrow you won't even be able to walk like you're walking. See, so tomorrow we're going to do the same thing. And it's just busier, just to show people how much busier and busier it gets every day on Media Row. It's just bananas. By the way, that's the best convention center too. It's so massive, like you can actually walk around in places like New York and in Phoenix, and they don't have big convention centers like that. So like Vegas was big like that last year, but New Orleans is the best one. Yeah, it's a lot like Vegas. The city is so good at conventions that just sucks it up.
Yeah, the New Orleans Convention Center is it's so big that they haven't even been able to fill the entire things. If you go to both ends, there's still a huge gap of area where they still have space if needed. And the next thing about the convention center is it's a 10-minute walk from our hotel, it's a 20-minute walk to Bourbon Street, and then it's maybe close bus distance to the stadium. So for us to be able to go to the stadium for opening night and all that media, it was just a quick shuttle over. So everything is really in close proximity, and it's really nice that the city is right next to everything. So it literally works out perfect. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better Radio Row experience in terms of the city that I'm in, the convention center, everything that's kind of come with it. And we're at the point now where the first few days there were still a few tables that weren't set up yet, big radio stations that don't want to come until the real guys get here. Now we're at the point where every single table is filled,
and it's just going to get crazier by the day.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you a text because there's a guy. His name is Will Gavin, and people who used to listen to my radio show would know this. Will Gavin is the national play-by-play voice for the game in England, and he's a huge 49ers fan. And he's a good friend of mine, and I had to stay away from him a lot of times during there because he drinks so much. But it's him and a bunch of guys from all these different parts of the world, and they all hang out and they love NFL football, and you got to get him on the show. He's the funniest guy you ever met. He's got the big English accent. And I texted him and I said, he's there. So he is incredible. You got to get this guy, Will Gavin, on. You'll be the best guest you guys have all week. But so tell people where they can find you and what time you're on and what you've been doing on the radio side.
So you can find us on Blaze Radio ASU on Twitter. That's where we stream it. We stream it on other platforms, but that's the main area where we stream everything.
Okay.
And then my personal media is at G1 Media. So that's where I'm posting all my content and reposting everything. You can find all of our live streams there. Pretty much the first few days have been amazing. I mean, I really haven't been on a consistent radio show like I have with these guys. These guys are consistent guys that I'm doing the show with. But we've had the chance of having a 2-hour slot every day, and we've had a few guests on. Today, we have a few really exciting guests. These 3 other guys that are kind of our age, they have a podcast, and on their social media platforms, they each have around 300,000 followers. One of them was actually an ASU grad, a Cronkite grad. So we approached them. We're like, hey, we're ASU students. Would you love to be on our pod? And they were like, I'll stop you there at Blaze Radio. And he knew.
Nice.
So he said they'd give us a little time. So we're really excited to do that interview. Guys our age, guys that understand what we're trying to do, guys that have their own podcast. So we're really excited to do that one today. We're bouncing around trying to get some other guests. I mean, now it's at the point where every single guy that walks around is a celebrity or an NFL player. I mean, I'm staring at my.
Do your Facebook. If you can't get them on your show, do your thing where you do the selfie like you did in Phoenix a few years ago when you were supposed to be actually helping our show at the Super Bowl. You did about 50 selfies from C.J. Stroud, Pat McAfee. Seriously, anybody who was anybody, you did. I mean, it was Mac Hollins who doesn't wear shoes. You did. I mean, it's just like everybody who's anybody. You got to do that again. You got to recreate that. All right, show us around. So what's around you now? Just kind of flip your phone around. Let's see what's around you now.
So we have, I'm not sure whose show this is. This might be some sort of NFL show.
Yeah.
I believe the Chad Ochocinco and Shannon Sharp are still going on.
Club Shay Shay. Yell Club Shay Shay and see if
over
they'll turn around you.
But this is pretty much, I mean, it's a madhouse. I mean, we got awesome. Fox Sports over here. Yep. The guys that are doing Fox Sports. I think Michael Pittman just walked right past me. Let's see. I don't know a whole lot of the Fox Sports guys that are up there right now, but they have a few guys going on there right now. I'm walking over to the, Pro Football Talk over here.
Mike Florio.
They have a giant studio. I mean,
what show they're set? It's Chris Sims and Mike Florio. There's a guy that's a good friend of mine, Ahmed Fareed, with NBC Sports. Ask somebody where Ahmed Fareed is. Tell him you're my son, and Ahmed will come on with you, and he is awesome, and he's part of that whole thing. Ask somebody at security when we're done here, say, where's Ahmed Fareed? And then can I speak with Ahmed Fareed? And you tell Ahmed you're my son. He'll come on with you. He's the nicest guy you could ever meet, and he does stuff with Pro Football Talk and NBC and everything else. So you just tell him, and he'll get you all set. Hang on one sec. I'm going to create a banner here, and I know you got to go here in a second, but people want to know again. You're at G Lund Media, right, on Twitter?
Yeah.
Twitter, X. And then it's Blaze Radio. What's the
Blaze Radio ASU. If you look up Blaze Radio ASU, you can find all our streams there, all of our content. And I will be reposting all of our content, all of our streams on my media too. So if you can't find it, you can find it on my Twitter. I'll be posting it there. Really excited for the next few days. I mean, this is really where it starts to get going these next few days. I'm literally going to try to pump out and get to as many people as possible. I mean, while I'm here, I might as well, maybe get an interview or two with some decent NFL players.
You should.
So
get aggressive.
I'll try to see what I can get. I'll definitely be posting it all there if I'm getting any content throughout the week. And I mean, just kind of living it up. I mean, tonight is our first night off, or I won't say night off, but night that doesn't have an NFL sponsored event. Mm-hmm. So we might go and explore Bourbon Street, maybe just a little bit.
You haven't been on did you go to Patty O'Brien's or no?
We haven't yet, because the first night.
That's tonight. We went
and explored, but now we are going to.
Well, the reason you have to go is like I told you yesterday, because it's going to get so packed that they're going to just not let people in, because Patty O'Brien's is an institution, and you cannot go to New Orleans without going to Patty O'Brien's. So you got to tell your friends you have to go, and then you have to take a bunch of video and send it to me like you did. I need more video to play before you come on every day. But go to Patty O'Brien's tonight. That's an order. Drink a Hurricane. That's an order, and it's the institution, so you have to go at least one night, because you guys will talk about it all day tomorrow. Your content for your show tomorrow after you go to Patty O'Brien's and Bourbon Street tonight is done. Like, you don't have to do anything but that. It's just crazy, and take video and everything else. So yeah, it's incredible. So you got to go to Patty O'Brien's.
I do have a funny story. So we were getting onto the elevator last night to go to the media party, and the most New Orleans dude you could ever imagine in your entire life stops us as we're going, and he goes, "Oh, are you guys going to Bourbon Street?" And we're like, "Oh, we might hit there tomorrow." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'll tell you, if you want to find the real good girls, don't go to the side streets. That's where they don't have teeth." And I was like, "Oh man, they don't have teeth over there?" He's like, "Yeah, if you want the ones with teeth, go to Bourbon Street. That's where you'll find the good ones." And we're like, "Okay, we got you, dude."
So yeah, some people like no teeth on women. That's not where you want to be. Yeah.
I'm glad you pointed that out to us.
Enjoy that stuff. So when do you want? So are you on in like 3 minutes?
No, we are on.
Oh, you're not on until noon.
We're on about 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay. You're on at noon Pacific time.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to report? Great job on the walk and talk. You did a great job of walk and talk on Media Row at Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. That's where young son George is. And I do on the right below him there at G Lund Media on Twitter and X. And he's going to be broadcasting starting at noon. They're on right now, but you start at noon with your guys on Radio Row at Blaze Radio ASU on X and Twitter and X. At G Lund Media on Twitter, that's you. At Blaze Radio ASU, that's where you can see George's broadcast from. Anything else that is of note from the media party, from food you've eaten, from weird things you've seen, from players, from celebrities? What else? You got anything else for us?
I mentioned that we saw Steve Smith walking around yesterday, and it was pretty funny because we were sitting there, and my friend was like, "Oh, I don't really think anybody's going to be here. What are we talking about?" And we're at the bar, of course, open bar. Why wouldn't we? Be grabbing maybe a few drinks. And we're at the bar, and I turn to my left, and I see a guy, and I'm like, "Oh man!" I turn to my right, and I'm like, "Dude, look at the guy over there!" And it's Steve Smith, like 2 people down, just like hammering a drink. And we're like, "Okay, now we're in the right spot. I think we made it here. We definitely made the right decision coming to the media party." So,
all right, give us one more like twirl around, flip the phone, and give people this kind of sense of where you're at. You're at the Media Row Super Bowl in New Orleans.
They have the whole thing guarded off. They have this little gate here, and they have their own little section. Yep. They probably have the biggest section out of everybody. That's the only place that you really can't get anywhere close to. Mm-hmm. Versus I can just walk up to Deebo Samuel if I want and cause issues. So, which I probably shouldn't do, but I can if I would like to.
All right, couple of questions from the people before you go. People want to know, what hair gel do you use? What hair gel?
It's been a rough few days when it comes to
you
hair.
got that bad hair from me. I'm sorry.
Because
it's my fault.
I can't use my normal products because of the airplane. So it's kind of, I've been free balling it. So I'm trying to use something. I don't know if
that's the term, but I see what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Keep a hold. So as of right now, I'm just using normal mini market hair.
Okay. Yeah, I know how you feel.
Doing me too
I just get a hat if I were you. I mean, your hair looks good. It's not bad. It's just just like yesterday. Oh, do you know who Kay Adams is? People are big fans of Kay Adams. Go find Kay Adams.
I do not believe that she showed up. You know what I mean?
Oh, she's probably got a separate set, huh? Yeah, she's probably got a separate set.
Yeah.
We did put the links in the description. Let's see. There's a lot of people. I'm just going to try to find one here. Look, yeah, there you go. You're on. Yep, boots on the ground. Very nice. Yep. So he's gonna go. You're going to Patty O'Brien's. See, Vernon's asking where. They want to know. So tomorrow we want a full report from Patty O'Brien's. We want video for the show earlier. One other thing I need. I just want to pop one of these up just because there's a lot of questions, just like there was yesterday about it. A lot of mustache questions. How's the mustache working today? Everything good?
You know what? It's doing me great. I look like I'm supposed to be here instead of looking like maybe a
so if you didn't have the stash, you wouldn't feel like you fit in?
Yeah, I feel a little more mature, that I'm worthy of this pass. Maybe I talk to people and they're not, who is this child talking to me? There's, who is this grown man talking to me? So that's how I'm coming across to a lot of people.
All right. People are asking if you're at a porn convention. You are not at a porn convention.
I am
You were at Radio Row, New Orleans, and you're giving us the boots on the ground feel. You did a tremendous job today. There's lots of love for you in the chat room today. Great job. I got to tell you, great job from New Orleans. And the only thing we ask, and this is not, I mean, look, I pay for your college, everything like that. I just ask you to go to Pat O'Brien's. I mean, come on, Dad could be a lot worse. Just go to Pat O'Brien's and give us a report tomorrow.
I'll give you a rundown of how everything went the whole night.
Yeah.
Come on.
Plus, you're not going to be able to go there like this weekend. They won't let you in. It'll just be so packed. Two places you got to go tonight. We want reports from it. Patty O'Brien's, and have a hurricane and tell me what you think and get some video there of the craziness. Because you want to go see celebrities. Everybody goes to Patty O'Brien's at some point. And the Bourbon Cowboy, you got to go get on a mechanical bull, and we got to see you do that. Somebody's got to take video of you on a mechanical bull at Bourbon Cowboy, and you got to go have a hurricane at Patty O'Brien's. And then you do whatever you want beyond that. Cafe Du Monde, by the way. Have you heard about Cafe Du Monde?
I have not.
You love donuts and stuff. Go to Cafe Du Monde, and it's New Orleans only, and it's an institution, so you got to go early because it's going to take you some time. And it's like a giant powdered donut. I mean, it is what it is. It's just this pastry, and they put tons of powdered sugar on it. And
the beignet?
The beignet. And they
were giving them out yesterday at the media party. They were amazing.
Good.
We made content out of it. We got a video of us all trying it. I gave it a 9-1. That's what I did. I gave it a 9-1.
Oh, you did like the Barstool pizza review, but you did it on a beignet?
That's exactly what we did.
Oh, you got to send me that. I got to play your beignet 9 point. You gave it a 9.1.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think I might have.
I'll send you that video.
Okay, send me that video because I may have a picture of a beignet here on my side here because I put a bunch of stuff in here. I don't know if I have the beignet. Maybe I took it off my screen today, but I did have a beignet just so people could see it. But maybe I took it off. All right, wonderful job, amazing job. Keep kicking butt. People, that's not the same clothes you wore last night, right? Like you didn't just go straight out of bed here.
Different clothes. Haven't worn this week.
Yeah, people ask.
We're staying clean. We're staying clean.
Good job. All right, let me make sure there's no other questions. Oh, muffaletta. Have you heard about a muffaletta before? Great sandwich. You got to ask somebody about a muffaletta. Although you're not the most aggressive eater, so I'm not really sure. You would like it though, but their sandwiches are tremendous. Okay. Oh, this is a great question right here. So yesterday we were wondering if you were really having a Spanish Zoom class because I said a Spanish Zoom is a shot that you probably took and you were so hungover that you didn't make the show early enough yesterday. So give us something, anything in Spanish.
I cannot. I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna pass on that.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna pass on that.
Anything.
It was
any Spanish.
It was the Spanish Zoom.
No, but give me like a sentence in Spanish.
I'm gonna pass.
You are such. I just
caught you.
Pass
on that. I'm
gonna
ignore that question. I'm not as proficient as one might think.
Okay.
I'm getting a good grade though. That's the important thing.
Okay, go the last thing, and then we're gonna let you go because you got things to go, people to see, places to go. Go to the NBC Sports set and ask for Ahmed Fareed. Ahmed Fareed. He's a big deal, and he's on. I'm sure he's on the PFT Pro Football Talk set there. If he's not, he's good friends with Chris Sims. He used to work in the Bay Area. He's an awesome guy. And tell him who you are, and if he's not there now, ask him when he's going to be there, and he'll come on your show. He's the nicest guy and the best guy ever. So grab Ahmed because he'll be part of the Super Bowl coverage and everything. Great guy. So that's all. Okay, Sounds man. Good. Great work. Great work. We appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow and get a full report on Pat O'Brien's. You're the best. See you, man.
See you, man.
Take care. That was good. Yesterday was good. Yesterday was fine. Walking and giving us all the feel, the firsthand, the boots on the ground thing, 1,000 times better. Wouldn't you say? I would say that was a nice job. I think that was a nice job right there. What do you think? Give us the report. Lots of talk about the hair. He got that from me. That is 100% my fault. I tell you all the time, I'm not having a bad hair day. I'm having a bad hair life. At least I have it, I guess. But it's hit and miss every day, and he's right up the same alley. And if you don't use the right stuff, it's nowhere. So I'm gonna have to send him stuff. He's been there since Sunday and hasn't gone to Pat O'Brien's. I'm a little concerned about that. But he did have the media party last night. If you're just joining the show, I don't know what this is. Oh, yeah, I'll do it again. So he sent me that yesterday amongst other videos. I'm like, I have no idea what that is all about. But he couldn't even explain it, and he was there. Why does ASU send you the AVNs? That's good. Very nice. The mustache. He explained the mustache as it makes me look older, so that looks like I fit in. But the biggest part that we learned is he said the other day that he gave me a text. In fact, I'll read it to you. He was late yesterday on the show. Let me see here. Oh, God, all these people are sending me texts now. Let's see here. What was it? I know it's here. This is yesterday. Oh, here we go. 10:02 a.m. yesterday. Sorry, I had to do a 40-minute Zoom for my Spanish class. Made for bad timing. I'm running over to the place now. He's talking about the convention center. 40-minute Zoom for his Spanish class that I'm paying for, and he couldn't even give us a Spanish sentence. He couldn't give us a sentence in Spanish, and he's taking a college course. And I think this is like his second or third one that he's taking in college on a Zoom class. What, is someone else taking the test for him or something? I don't want to get him in trouble or anything, but it's like he couldn't even give us one sentence. I mean, what was that about? Anyway, whatever. So he gave you a little bit of, gave you a little Fred Warner there, a little Club Shay, Pro Football Talk set. Gave you a little bit of what it's like to be on Media Row. It's not Radio Row anymore. When I first started going on Radio Row, I don't know, 15 or so years ago, 20 years ago, it was just radio stations. And then now it's like, you see, it's all the sets and all the TV, and even all the radio stations have sets and lights and all sorts of stuff like I have in here. I mean, it's just, there's nobody just does audio anymore. No way. Yeah. How about that? Let's talk about the girls with no teeth. The New Orleans guy that's coming up to him saying, hey man, make sure that you don't go down these streets because they don't have any teeth. It's like, whoa, okay. What else do we have? No, it's well received. We'll do that again tomorrow. That was really good. I did a great job from Radio Row, which again, yesterday was fine, but he was just kind of standing up against a wall. And it's like, well, we know what a wall looks like. Let's go. I know. Yeah, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign that he couldn't give us one sentence on the spot. I'm seriously, this is like, he took Spanish in all of high school. I think this is his second or third Spanish class that he's taken in college. I mean, love God, man, you can't give us one sentence. I mean, you couldn't even say like, hey, there's Club Shay with Ocho Cinco. Like even I can do that. I mean, you couldn't give us like a Ocho Cinco, like just something. Anyway, that's fine. This is good. Yeah, there you go. He is. I don't know what's going on with that. We have to have a conversation later. I mean, that was a great hit and everything, but that part, not so much. I do have more things to discuss, but I might save some of this stuff for tomorrow. I do have a Kelce thing, but that whole Kansas City thing, I already kind of talked about, other teams in the NBA in a positive sense. So I don't know that I want to do that. Let's save the Kansas City. I know the Kansas City ref thing. We can do that tomorrow. I'm sorry. I know it's on the board for today, but let's save it for tomorrow because that's going to take 30 minutes minimum. And we're not going to, I got stuff. So let's save that. Okay. We don't normally do that, but let's do the KC ref thing tomorrow. And I'll save that for tomorrow. I'm going to probably hold the Eli thing too. I honestly don't normally do this, but I have some stuff on Eli. And again, that's going to take probably another 30 minutes. People are talking about Eli in the Hall of Fame, and we will find that out tomorrow. And so I want to discuss that. One thing I want to get to today before we get out of here today, and then go back over the text and what everybody's talking about, is today is the 8th anniversary, right, of Atlanta 28-3. New England over Atlanta. New England was up in that game. Let me go. I'll give you a little bit of a feel of that. Let's see. Where is that? I've got it somewhere here. Maybe did I get it at the bottom of my stuff today? And didn't see it down there. I might not have put it in our things. Okay. Today is the anniversary of New England coming back in Atlanta, 28-3. Atlanta's up in that game. They lose the Super Bowl to New England. The very next day, Kyle Shanahan was named head coach of the 49ers. A few days after that, I was at the press conference for Kyle Shanahan, his first as the head coach of the Niners, and I've popped this up on the screen before. Jet black hair, probably looks, like I said, it didn't have a mustache or any gruff or gray or anything like he has now, kind of like George. I need a mustache to look older. He did need a mustache to look older, even though he didn't have one. I mean, he was in this nicely pressed suit, pinstripe suit. Never seen him in one since, like a dark blue. And Tom and I interviewed him after his initial press conference. They stuck us in that children's room at Levi Stadium, and we talked to Kyle. And I'm not going to reveal anything, even though it's 8 years later. I'm not going to reveal anything that Kyle said that I don't think has become public knowledge. But it was really cool because he sat down with us, and while we were waiting, we were sitting in a commercial break. And again, like I said, it's just days after that game in which they had a 28-3 lead on New England and lost the Super Bowl. And so we're just sitting there, and we're just chopping it up with Kyle, and he's being really cool to us and everything. And Tom, in Tom's way, Tolbert says to him, "Look, before we go on, if you don't want to answer this, it's fine." And Kyle and Tom have really got a great relationship now through the years of doing the interview together. And Kyle really trusts him. But the one thing Kyle told us before anybody knew, Kyle just said, because Tom asked him, asked him a couple of key questions about the Super Bowl and how they lost it. But one was the running back. He wore 24, and his name's slipping my mind right now, at a Florida State. He was number 24 for Atlanta. Anyway, he missed a big block. That if he makes that block on a blitzing linebacker for New England, that they probably win the Super Bowl, because I think it was Julio Jones running down the left sideline. He was wide open, and Matt Ryan needed just like a split second. And so Tom says to Kyle Shanahan on his first day as 49ers head coach, and just fresh 3 days after that loss in the Super Bowl to New England, in which they had the big lead, he says, "Look, if you don't want to answer this question, I understand it. And this is totally off the air." And he says, "But Devontae Freeman, whatever, Freeman was his last name, was the running back." And he says, "If Freeman makes that block, do you guys win the Super Bowl?" And Kyle said, "Off the record?" And he goes, yeah, of course, off the record. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Wide open. Matt just needed a split second. We win the Super Bowl." Like right there, because all the momentum is halted. And you remember the play I'm talking about was Devontae Hightower was the linebacker. He wore 54 and he blitzed. And if Freeman makes the block on Hightower, Julio Jones, I think it was Julio Jones, one of the receivers, but I think it was Julio, is running wide open down the field, and it's a touchdown, and they win because they get another touchdown. And at that point, it's 35-3, and it's like they ain't coming back from that. So anyway, when people say that Kyle Shanahan can't do this, Kyle Shanahan can't do that, players play, coaches coach. And if they make a block right there, they win the Super Bowl. I mean, so when you and I talk all the time about 2 or 3 plays amongst an NFL game, and everybody just, because it's low-hanging fruit, and I'll get to this tomorrow, because it's low-hanging fruit, they'll sit there and they'll just say, "Man, the coach." It's like, if Freeman makes a block, they win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's the finite line And it is so thin between winning and losing. And you can go back to, like we always do every single year with the Niners, you can go back to 10 games in the Super Bowl last year, 10 plays in the Super Bowl last year, let alone one. If they make one of those 10 plays, the Niners win. And it had nothing to do with officials. And Atlanta losing to New England wasn't about, something about wanting to have the Patriots have this dynasty. Then the same things used to pop up. And I've said this before, and I wrote this piece, and we'll get into this more tomorrow. There is no conspiracy against the Chiefs to make the 34th largest market in the country the mecca of the NFL. Hey, yeah, let's just throw a dart against the board. Kansas City's turn, they're going to win. And I said this in the piece, and you can go to johnlundunleashed.com and read it and see the video that accompanies it, which I do for Story of the Day, which I'll do on Kevin Durant today. And now that I mentioned it, I got to make sure that I'm not missing out on Kevin Durant news or LeBron news or anything like that. But the bottom line to the whole thing is there's not. There wasn't a conspiracy in that game, and there's not a conspiracy now, and that's just kind of how it goes. And so everybody's complaining about it. Anyway, we'll get more into it tomorrow. But if you want to see the piece I wrote that gives proof beyond a shadow of the doubt that there's not conspiracies, not only with Kansas City, there wasn't with New England, there isn't with, now you want to start looking at Luka going to the Lakers. I'd talk about that. I mean, to me, conspiracy means you're trying to make your sport better, which is make more money and more revenue, because at the end of the day, we all think this is all on the up and up, which it's not. And there are conspiracy theories. I just don't think it's Kansas City. Now, Luka and Kobe and Kareem, and I'll go through the years of the Lakers making these moves that made no sense whatsoever, and the Lakers getting these players, and you go, well, that makes sense because it's LA and it's the second largest media market. But if there was a true conspiracy in the NFL, in the NBA, then why have the Knicks sucked for so long? That's media market 1. Why have the Bulls sucked for so long when Jordan left? That's media market 3. So you go on down the line. Media, what conspiracy should do is help the league, right? Why would the league try to help Kansas City in the 34th largest market in the country? There's more people in Manhattan by a mile, by like 3 times, than there is in the entire state of Missouri. So why the hell would you make that the mecca of the NFL? You wouldn't. So when people say that, they just get pissy because Kansas City wins. Anyway, we'll do more of that tomorrow. I don't want to get into that today because the last time he did it, everyone's like, oh, my God, stop talking about the Chiefs. And I'm with you because this Super Bowl is going to be hard to watch. I mean, there's just no question about it. So anyway, that just spawned from the Atlanta being up 28-3 on New England, and I wanted to tell the Kyle story. And from that day forward, I knew Kyle Shanahan, he's not a liar. He just said, look, and we talked about a few different other plays in that Super Bowl. He was incredible, and that was off the air. And then we went on the air. And anyway, that just because it's 8 years ago today that play actually happened. So anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed today. I really enjoyed today. Not only did we get deep into the Warriors thing, and I'll keep continuing to, again, I'll continue to refresh this to make sure they're not missing anything on Durant. But let's see, last weekend's drama showed nothing. Enter a Kevin Durant Warriors reunion eyes. And again, Anthony Slater writing that. So nothing's done. There is a lot of speculation. There's Durant to the Warriors speculation, just to reset that. There is possibly LeBron speculation. Let's see. This is Ty Lue. Some people are saying it won't work with LeBron and Luka because they both need the ball. What's your response? This is Ty Lue. They're not right. We'll see. Like, I can tell you this with a lot of confidence. This is going to be LeBron's last year in LA with the Lakers. I think he's going to be gone. They're going to take LeBron and they're going to say, okay, let's get a bunch of young players who are not young, but are on the same wavelength age-wise as Luka. And that's how they're going to build. They can win possibly one championship with Luka and LeBron, which I'm not even sure they can do that. But if they did, I could see it. They could win multiple championships if they get the right people around Luka, who are roughly his age. And that's, you and I talk about this all the time in sports. You want to have your team at the same time elevating, the same age, in their prime. Prime players win championships. Not too old, not too young. The porridge is too hot, the porridge is too cold. You want it to be just right. So when the Warriors won all those championships, all those guys were in the prime of their career. They didn't have a bunch of old guys. You can put an older guy. You can put a veteran guy. It wasn't like Andre Iguodala was old when he got here. But Steph, Andre, and the main guys, they were in their prime. And then you add players around that. So Luka being 25 and LeBron being 40, that's not what they want. They want players around Luka that are his age. Well, how do they get him? Because if they don't get him and use LeBron to get him, then how they're going to be in the same position. They're going to have this great superstar player, and they're going to be trying to get guys around him constantly, and they don't have a lot to move now. They'd move their best player in Anthony Davis to get him, which isn't wrong, but they don't have a lot now around him. They always keep saying they don't want to move Reeves. Well, who are you going to move to get the right players long-term around Luka, who are 22, 23, 24, whatever, 25, 27 in their prime? So here's the bottom line to the whole thing is that if I look, and again, we're talking about the Lakers, and I get that, but this does tie in with the Warriors at the beginning of the show, and you go back to it, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow as the trade deadline is tomorrow, is that if the Warriors go get Durant, I think that's what everybody wants. We looked at it from the other side of Phoenix earlier on in the show, and they would be, it'd be a match salary-wise with, not salary-wise exactly, but for the base of the salary to go Wiggins, but then you throw in Kuminga, then you probably throw in Moody, and you might even need another piece, and then you're throwing in picks, and now Phoenix says, okay. But if you also look at that same trade from a Lakers standpoint with the player being LeBron instead of Durant, now all of a sudden, again, he makes about $50 million, just what Durant makes. So now you got to take those same players and move them to LA, and the Lakers think to themselves, well, exactly, this is not maybe the perfect return for LeBron James. What you have is Kuminga, who can grow with Luka, Wiggins, who is roughly the same, is a little bit older, but still is a playable player, and that would be in that scenario. Same with Moses Moody. So all of a sudden you're getting players that are roughly the same age and would be around him for a long time. And then if you're the Lakers too, maybe you don't want Wiggins, but you get somebody who fits better maybe around Luka than Wiggins. But Wiggins is making about $28 million. And all of a sudden Luka, you can move him and get players for Luka that are in their prime and can play with Luka. That makes a lot more sense than having a 40-year-old LeBron who, I don't care what Ty Lue says, he knows a lot more about basketball than I do, but they're not going to fit. And it's not about one basketball. Like when people said, when Durant came over to the Warriors, there's only one basketball. Durant's not ball dominant. Doesn't have to be. Steph can be ball dominant, but can play off the ball. Like when people said that stuff, it's like, you don't understand the game. Luka and LeBron are ball dominant and need to have the ball in their hands to make things happen. So short term, can it work? Sure, it can work short term. But if I'm the Lakers, I guarantee you they're having conversations that says, okay, Luka's going to be our building block for the future. We didn't get Luka for the now. The Mavericks got Anthony Davis for the now. The Lakers got Luka Doncic for 10 to 12 years. So if you want to win championships and you're the Lakers, it's not going to be long-term LeBron and Luka. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be the L&L boys. It's going to be Luka and a bunch of players that you want to put around him. Well, how are you going to do that? Because you didn't have the assets to put all those, with Anthony Davis, to put all those players around LeBron to win championships. So if you don't move LeBron, you're going to be in the same boat in 1 or 2 years. Because who on your team are you going to move? Oh, we don't want to move Austin Reeves. You're going to be too good. You're going to be in the, as I always talk about, the middle purgatory. You're not going to be bad enough to get good players through the draft. Some players will sign with you, that's for sure, but you're not going to have a lot of money under the apron. So how are you going to do it? Well, for the Lakers, you're probably going to move LeBron and say, let's get younger players who fit Luka around him. And the Warriors have those kind of players. So that would make sense. Even though people would be like, we'd rather have LeBron, we'd rather have Durant. I get it. And then the other big thing as we wrap today is, and I'm going to get into Sam Amick's piece and text him. And I know it's going to be bananas, so maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the next 2 days after, get Sam on the show. Because he's saying maybe Draymond Green. But it doesn't make sense to me if you're going to get one of those veteran guys, either LeBron or Durant, and then move Draymond, because Draymond's a glue piece to a winning team. So that, to me, I get it. I'm going to have to read more about it, the scenario that he's talking about. But to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because you're going to keep Draymond if you're going to get Durant or LeBron, because he's a winning piece. Now, maybe there's a rift between Durant and Green that we don't know about. I think that's squashed. They've talked about it a million times on podcasts. So I think it's squashed, but I could be wrong. All right. I think that was good. We will save, and we don't normally do this, everything on the chalkboard we normally go to, but I'm going to save the KC thing for tomorrow because that's going to take a while. And I'm going to save the Eli Hall of Fame thing to tomorrow because that will be announced, I think, tomorrow, right? Thursday. And that's so cool. Like we were on, not to go up, one more quick story. So we were on Radio Row, Papa and I, for Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco, which, by the way, is back here next year. And so we will be on Radio Row next year with the show. But I had a train of thought, and I just had a brain fart, but I know what I'm talking about. Just give me 1 second. Oh, what's really cool is when these guys get announced into the Hall of Fame. So Papa and I, Super Bowl 50 at Moscone Center, we were there, and we've got pictures of it. I've popped it up before, where we didn't. And Eddie D was going into the Hall of Fame, and I remember saying to him as we were interviewing him, like, "You're going in. You're going in." And he's like, "Don't jinx it. I can't say that I'm in if I'm not in." In fact, I think it's this one right here. Yeah, there it is. Oh, no, that's Dwight Clark. That is Super Bowl 50, but that's us with Dwight Clark, actually. Where's the one? Oh, there it is. That's Eddie D. There you go. There's us at Super Bowl 50. Michael Zagaris between Papa and I there. That's at Super Bowl 50 with Jed York and Eddie D. And so that was the day that he was going to find out if he got in, and he did get in. So those are cool days. And then we also had 1 year, remember the former Niner Chris Dolman, who I think is now passed, but Chris Dolman was going to the Hall of Fame. We were at the Super Bowl that year. Where's that? Indianapolis or Minnesota or something like that. And Dolman found out he was in the Hall of Fame, and we interviewed him that day. Like, it's really cool when you get these guys on, and it's the day of, and it's like, are you going to get in the Hall of Fame? You get in the Hall of Fame. So we were lucky enough to have Eddie D and Dolman and a few other guys that were up for the Hall of Fame, and got it. We had Roger Craig on one year, and he didn't get in. Don't make me go on a rant about Roger Craig. Oh my God, it drives me crazy. Okay, I think that'll do it for today. That was fun. We hung out a long time and had a great time. We didn't get to a couple things, Casey and the Hall of Fame thing for Eli, but we'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow on the show, I'm hoping. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody here. I'm hoping to get Lorenzo on. He is on Radio Row, but we got to tell each other this story. So Lorenzo's going to join me a little bit, probably tomorrow, and George will do another walk and talk from Radio and Media Row in New Orleans, and he'll give us a full report from Patty O'Brien's and Bourbon Street. So that should be fun tomorrow. Do not miss that. Anything we did miss, anything. I think we had a great time today. We went through the KD stuff, mostly NBA stuff, some New Orleans stuff. Check in with George, and we'll do some more NFL things, and plus lots of stuff will pop. And if anything, do remember before you leave that if anything breaks on a Durant or an NBA trade or a Warriors trade, anything massive, we'll be back today. So we do Monday through Friday. If you're new, we do 8 a.m. Monday through Friday on the show, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. We also stream on X and Instagram. So make sure that you are here at 8 a.m. 10 a.m. on Saturdays we do, and then anytime news breaks. And we're going to add some night shows too, but on the consistent basis rather than just doing them on post games. I think we're going to just add them on a consistent basis because there's lots of people who want to do that as well. So we're going to do that. But don't go anywhere because, number one, I'm going to post a story of the day video, and I'm going to write at John Lund, or JohnLundUnleashed.com, I should say, JohnLundUnleashed.com. So look out for that. If anything happens with the Warriors, jump right back here because we will jump on and do emergency shows. So make sure that you keep your alerts on, John Lund Unleashed, and make sure you keep your alerts on. And was there anything else I was going to get to today? I think that is it. About 2 hours and 11 minutes today. We had a great time. Looking at my videos. We can save those for tomorrow. All right. Great stuff. JohnLundUnleashed.com. Thank you for watching on Instagram and X. Thank you for hanging out today and all the comments as well on YouTube or just for hanging out. We love having you here. Lots of new names. We really appreciate that as well. And again, for all things John Lund Unleashed, check it out at JohnLundUnleashed.com. And if you want to listen to the podcast, Apple and Spotify. I've done enough damage. Have a tremendous Wednesday. We'll speak at you either later today or tomorrow on trade deadline day in the
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at JohnLundUnleashed.com. JohnLundUnleashed.com.
Goodbye!